Welcome to Oscar Sunday. I'm Austin Johnson,
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
and today we're knocking out again another Best Picture showdown. We've done a lot of these motherfuckers now, and this is one of the ones I've had circled for a long time. We started this show in June of 2020, and that was just a few months after Parasite won Best Picture at the 92nd Academy Awards. That was right before COVID hit, right? That was I think that ceremony was in February.
Yeah.
And just a month later, things started to shut down. Theaters started to shut down. The landscape of the film industry, for good, it seems like, changed vastly. And I hold this year, 2019, and the 92nd Academy Awards, I hold them very dear to my heart because you and I became really close during that year. My daughter was born that year, 2019. We started really honing in on the podcast. We started, FILMGAZM was well underway. We started Oscar Sunday, and you and I just got closer through watching movies and going to see movies in theaters. The 92nd Academy Awards in particular, the Best Picture category. You and I saw a lot of these together, or we saw them, right around each other and had conversations with one another. So we'll go down the line here. Joker, we saw it together. That's a Best Picture nominee. The Irishman was on Netflix. We both watched that. Jojo Rabbit, we saw that together. I want to say Joker was at Alamo Drafthouse. Jojo Rabbit was at the Bijou. Rest in peace. My favorite theater. My favorite theater that I've ever been to in Texas. Little Women. We didn't see that one together, but I remember. I think you saw it like with your mom in theaters, and I also saw it with my mom in theaters.
I saw it with my grandma, but yes.
Your grandma, even better. even better. Ford versus Ferrari. I saw that one with my dad, but I remember texting you right after I saw it, and I was like, that was such a cool father-son movie to go see. 1917. I also saw that one with my dad. Again, a really cool dad father-son movie. Marriage Story, another Netflix one. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. We saw that one together at Alamo Drafthouse. And the most interesting one, Parasite. I saw that movie on November 9th of 2019. It was my brother's birthday. My brother Adam, God bless him. My dad was like, "What do you want to go do?" He's like, "Oh, I'd love to go see a movie with you in Austin," And it's like I was like, "Oh, I wonder what he's gonna pick," And he picks this movie Parasite that I had of course heard about because it was gaining this crazy traction, like nation, worldwide. It's like it was being seen in Korea, it was being seen all across Europe and the United States. It was getting this genuine wave of holy shit, you have to go see this. And so we went and saw it, and I was like, holy fuck, that was really good. That was like a 9 out of 10, a 10 out of 10 type movie. That was a complete genre bender. That just there's no way to really label Parasite. And I called you on the way home, and I was like, Connor, my man, like this one's special. I think it might be up for Best Picture. I think it's going to do some damage. And you were like, okay, all right, I'll go check it out. You went and checked it out. You were like, holy hell, this is a good movie. And then we watched that ceremony together at your grandparents' house. We sat down. My brother Adam was also there. My wife, at the time, my girlfriend, but now my wife, Brianna, was there. Your grandparents there. Your mom was there. And we watched Parasite make fucking history. And I remember like getting chills and jumping around your living room, like, oh my God, like a foreign movie, a Korean movie just won Best Picture. The year before, Green Book won. The year before, Shape of Water won. The year before, Moonlight won. Those are American movies that, they're typical Best Picture type movies. Parasite, like, quite frankly, changed the game, made actual history. And not only that, but it's a damn good movie. I'm super excited to talk about it with you today. All these movies are 3 years old now, and I feel like they've gotten enough time to breathe and get some kind of legacy. And Parasite certainly has built upon its legacy since it came out. Today, it was announced that it's the most watched and highest rated movie on Letterboxd with 2 million watches and has a 4.6 overall. Today, that happened. And I was like, I got to bring that shit up because Letterboxd is now a very important part of the film community and fans and people who like to share reviews and their thoughts. It's social media for movie lovers. and Parasite is at the top. Is at the very top of that website. Very cool. What a special episode we have here.
Yeah, these films represent quite a shift in, in my life, really. Like, it really does, these 9 films represent, a significant friendship that means the world to me. It means, paying more attention to the film community. It means really buckling down and putting effort into creating a podcast and like trying to be part of that community. Like, this is a very significant year for me.
Yeah.
And I love that these films have, most of them have aged like wine. A lot of them have already been selected for Criterion, like, The Irishman, Parasite, Marriage Story.
Yep.
A lot of these were FILMGAZM bonus episodes back when we were still doing those. I think all but 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great. It's a walk down memory lane tied to a film that is one of the most incredible, significant movies to ever take over the Oscars. Yeah, Parasite is a modern masterpiece. It might be the most deserving Best Picture winner of that decade, and I'm so glad it won. It's so great. I'm excited to talk about it today and just kind of spotlight a little some Korean film. This is great.
Yeah, fuck yeah, man. I'm so stoked. It's been a long time coming. I wanted to wait, like for these movies to breed and like build some sort of legacy and then talk about them. I feel like it's been long enough now to really know what they are, and be able to talk about them at length here. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna rank all of them in a little while. We're also gonna look at the 92nd Academy Awards because Parasite, of course, won Best Picture. It won Best Director for Bong Joon-ho, who gave one of my favorite, speeches of all time when he talked about he quoted Martin Scorsese and pointed at him and was like, he said the best stories are the most personal stories, and he said that's a great quote from the great Martin Scorsese, and Martin Scorsese's right there, and everybody stands up and is like, let's acknowledge this fucking mastermind while also recognizing Bong Joon-ho. And then he said, Bong Joon-ho said, "I'm going to drink until morning." he was on cloud 9 because he kept fucking going back up there. He also won for Best Screenplay, Best Original Screenplay. The film, of course, winning Best Picture probably means as a foreign film, you're going to win Best International Feature Film as well. So it did. And then it was also nominated for Best Film Editing and Best Production Design. Just quite a slate there. I can't believe there were no performance nominees. Kind of doesn't make sense. But, you take what you can get, right? With the Oscars.
Yeah, typically, like, honestly, what I've noticed in the past is, like, if you're not like Italian or French, you're probably not going to make it into the acting nominations, which is a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in baby steps. Yeah. I do love, though, like, for Bong Joon-ho as an artist, it's got to be just the ultimate high to like defeat your heroes.
Yeah.
And to just be recognized as a peer to, people like Martin Scorsese and Quentin Tarantino. That had to have been just an incredible once in a lifetime moment of recognition. And I'm so glad he got that.
Yeah, he beat Martin, QT, Todd Phillips, and Sam Mendes. Come on. Like, that's pretty cool to compete with those guys and win. And art's not always about winning, but it is nice to be recognized, and I'll never forget that night. I'll never forget watching that ceremony unfold. Like, holy hell. When he won, when it won Best Screenplay, I was like, okay, all right. Like, this movie has a chance against, I think most people thought 1917 was going to win. And that was kind of like already keyed in, like, yeah, that's going to win. But when he went up for a screenplay and then director, it was like, oh my God, this movie might win. Like, it might win the last award of the night. And sure enough, it did. It was fantastic. So I'm excited to go back through that ceremony at the end of the show. But we got to start. We've got to start with just honing in on Parasite and recognizing it and figuring out our favorite pieces of the movie. You got a lot of things in play here. So we're going to do our awards here in a minute. But I mean, is there a movie, a comparison for Parasite? I feel like one of the coolest things about it winning was it's such an outlier. It's such a dark, like depraved, but really funny movie. It has all these things going on. Towards the end, it becomes like a slasher movie for a second, and all the performances are just top notch. Like I've never seen a movie like that win Best Picture. Compared to something like Nomadland a year later, it's just completely different.
Yeah, it's a genre bender in the best way, and it really kind of shows the best that like modern filmmaking has to offer, which I love. It's a global film that reached so many different cultures because we all could kind of understand what this was, really about.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. It's a class struggle movie, and there's no country on earth that doesn't deal with class struggle.
Hmm.
And more than that, the Oscars in the past, Best Picture, the winner is supposed to represent the best that year has to offer. It doesn't always work out that way, but most of the time, I think it fairly does. And 2019 was such a just powerhouse year of films. Like there was so much competition this year, so much new stuff, so many, risks. So Parasite winning that just shows the benefits of taking a risk, of really creating something new, something that people have never seen before and can relate to and is going to last forever. And I don't know when we're going to have that next, but I really can't wait.
Yeah, it's like that's why you go to the theater. That's why you watch movies, like new movies come out, is to have that feeling that you have when you see Parasite for the first time. And I'd say the closest thing that I love Parasite, and this next movie I'll bring up, I don't like as much, but it had that weird sensation where you're like, this is why we do it. Everything Everywhere All at Once. When that came out, it was like, okay, here's a foreign movie that's very weird, very different from what we're used to. And it had this odd wave of like, you have to go see this in theaters. Like, otherwise you're missing out like on culture. And I like there's not really anything, being over here in the States, especially being in Texas, like there at work, I work at, one of the biggest, corporations in Texas. It's like people there were like talking about that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. They were like, have you seen it? Have you seen it? Like, oh my God, what'd you think? Like, what a mind fuck, And that felt very much like it was a replica of what Parasite did 3 years ago. It just like overtook everybody. And that's so cool to be a part of. Like I'm not always trying to be in the know or keep up with things, but occasionally it's nice to feel like you're a part of like society and feel like you're a part of pop culture. And that feeling is great when the movie's actually good.
Well, and also just something I've noticed lately, and it's been really bumming me out, is how stale things are getting in culture, and especially in America. So I've been going to foreign film a little bit more to try to find something that I haven't seen before, something that can speak to something else inside of me. And when you get a film like Everything Everywhere All at Once, you get that moment to be like, wow, that was cool. That was neat. I'd never seen that before. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, we don't get that a lot anymore. It's so oversaturated by just, blockbusters and remakes and sequels and just, films that make money but lack substance. And I'm really starting to care more about that lately, which is, I don't know what that says about me. Maybe I'm getting more cynical, or maybe I'm just giving a shit finally. But yeah, I like films that make me think. I like films that, I like to forget I'm watching a movie. I like to just let 2 hours go by like I wasn't even paying attention. And
yeah. And Parasite passes that test like hand over fist. Even at home, like when I was watching it, it's on Hulu. If you haven't seen Parasite, you should probably get to that. It's even at home when you're sitting on the couch, you're like, man, this is a masterpiece. Like this is, and I was doing the thing I told you. I started it. It's like a 2 hour movie. It took me like 3 hours to watch it because I kept rewinding and like watching scenes over, or like what happened there? What exactly did they say? And like having the power to be able to do that at home with a movie this good is nice. Like you kind of have your own. You have your own. It's not. it's not a director's commentary. It's like a fan's commentary. You're like, did you just see that? Like, I'm looking at my daughter who's 3 years old, and I'm like, right? you know, fucking a, man. This movie's awesome, and it passes that test of not only is it great when you first see it, but it has this rewatchability to it that makes it really valuable as a Best Picture winner. I think you alluded to it being the strongest Best Picture winner from the 2010s. I think it is. I don't think any of those movies, you go down the line, like The King's Speech, that's not like a super rewatchable movie. Like Argo, even one that I love, like Moonlight's not this like, oh my God, let me just throw that on, for entertainment on a Tuesday night. Green Book and, The Shape of Water, these movies aren't as easy to just put on and enjoy yourself. Like you said, just let the 2 hours just come at you like a wave.
I think its only real, competition in that realm is Birdman.
Yeah, Birdman's an easy one to watch. Well, yeah, the next year's Spotlight. Like, you don't want to just watch that. It's like a really dark movie, true story. It's great, but yeah, Birdman has that entertainment quality.
Well, that and it makes you think. It's something new. It's Michael Keaton's comeback movie about a washed up superhero actor who's dealing with some crazy shit. It's different. It's something cool. It's a unique little universe that just exists in this one movie. And I love that shit. Rewatchability has become the most important factor a film can have for me.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
And Birdman has that, Parasite has that, but most of the 2010s Best Picture winners are one and done. Like, I'm never watching 12 Years a Slave again.
Yeah, that one, The Artist, I'm okay. I don't really need to go down that road again unless I'm doing it on a Best Picture Showdown.
Yeah,
that's really the only reason. But Parasite is a movie I've seen like 5 times now in the past 3 years, and I'm like obsessed with it. I'm all in. It's a 10 out of 10, 5-star movie for me. Like, I love it to death, and I think it deserves that Criterion Collection. That edition is like, yeah, it's worthy.
Yeah, I bought that as soon as it came out. I was like, I want that. I'm gonna want to watch this in the best quality I can get it. So yeah.
and have all the special features and whatnot, and have that really cool case. So yeah, I mean, if you like physical media, why not? If Whiplash would have beat Birdman, do you think Whiplash would be in competition with Parasite for the best of the 2010s Best Picture winners?
If Whiplash had won, it would eclipse Parasite.
yeah. I think I'm on the same page. I'm obsessed with Whiplash as well, and that one would have. That's the only one that would have something to say. I adore Moonlight. And it might be like deep down, it's not the one I watch the most. Well, I don't know. I've seen it so many times, but I know that's not normal. And I know it's not a movie that's just fun. I just fucking love it. I love I love the writing in that movie. I love the performances. But I understand that Parasite, like in a general consensus, Parasite is better.
I don't know. Like, better is so subjective.
It's a dumb word. It's a stupid word. But
what is normal? I mean, there is, every movie is somebody's favorite movie, and Parasite just to us resonates in a way that it might not with a lot of people, and especially foreign film in the United States has a stigma because a lot of dipshits just don't want to read. They don't, they can't perceive cultures outside of their own backyard. And that's why, there's such a big surprise when Parasite not only was getting critical acclaim, it was making real box office money in the United States.
Yeah. It wound up making well over $100 million here in the States on a $15 million budget. That's just here in the States. Worldwide, it made nearly $300 million. That's a massive, massive success. And then for it to get that run that it had from November to December to January to February, and then won Best Picture, and now we're here. This is to me one of the best movies we've ever brought up on this show, and that's including 7-8 decades of movies. And Parasite is worth that. It has a seat at the table with the Godfathers and with the French Connections and with the One Flew the Cuckoo's Nest. And those great movies from the 70s and 80s, like it has a seat at the table of being an all-time great. Yeah. And we know that already. It's really cool.
Yeah, I love, my favorite Best Picture winners are the ones that can reflect the best that a decade has to offer in terms of talent, in terms of scope, in terms of just, you know, creativity. And Parasite represents that tenfold.
Yeah, yeah, we don't get a lot of masterpieces anymore. Just that
Yeah.
that's just the way it is. The the wave of the auteur from decades ago, 60s, 70s, 80s. Like that's really rare now. It's
Yeah.
you don't have a lot of people because when you do have someone who's like, oh wow, look what they can do. They get hired, they get work for hire, and they end up doing some giant blockbuster. And it's like, well, a lot of their skill and creativity gets taken out of it by default. And that's just the nature of filmmaking today. It's like, I mean, if you want to make money, you're not going to be able to make a bunch of Parasites because that doesn't happen that often.
Now, a lot of our best talent, have to whore themselves out just to be able to maintain a career. And that can, have a lasting effect on legacy or, your reputation if those films end up being shit. I mean, we see that happen all the time. And that's a damn shame. But I like that, Bong Joon-ho is one of those guys who's maintained, his integrity as a filmmaker and really
Oh yeah,
just nonstop delivered on crazy original films since he started. And Parasite was nowhere near his first film. It was just like almost like his, I don't want to say comeback movie, but like more people were paying attention to his work than ever before.
yeah. I'll admit, I had only seen I had seen Okja because that's a Netflix movie. Um, and then I had seen Snowpiercer, but I didn't really make that connection, of like, oh my god, this is the same guy. And my personal favorite of his movies is the Host. That's just because I love like creature features and I love monster movies. And the Host is my favorite Bong Joon Ho movie that I've seen. But yeah, his career was way back. He's been around for 2 decades, like
Yeah.
going strong. If you go all the way back to Memories of Murder, that's 2003. Like the guy's been at it, and so Parasite is almost like finally he's
Yeah.
getting that he's getting claimed as like a proper legendary filmmaker of his time, of his generation, with Tarantino and with Paul Thomas Anderson, with those guys. Like he's in that conversation.
Yeah. In America, it was, look at this guy. And in Korea, it was, yeah, we know.
Yeah. Oh, we've seen. Yeah. 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 We're well aware of like what this guy's capable of. Yeah, and geez, what a cool dude. There's not very many people that are that humble and that excited to go up there and take their statue on the Oscar stage and just be like, oh my god, like this is the coolest shit ever.
Very few people can walk away from one ceremony with 4 fucking Oscars and still act like, it's his first day in Hollywood. Just
Yeah.
like, look at that. Oh, there's him. Oh, I can't believe it. And he's holding just a fucking basket of Oscars.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. Especially there's been Oscars in the past, where a movie or a director, whatever, screenwriter, like just dominates, just destroys the competition. That's very hard to do nowadays. There's now 8 or 9 Best Picture nominees, and they like to kind of spread the love. It feels like so for a movie like Parasite to have that kind of domination at a ceremony in this day and age, it's really cool. Yeah, we could talk about this movie forever, and I'm in love with it. I can't wait to dive into like what you picked as your awards for this movie to see kind of what over time. Mine haven't really changed. I've always been connected to like, oh my god, that scene is the best scene of the movie for sure. And I've always been really attached to one particular performance in this movie. I've always been like, oh my god, that guy should have won Best Actor, or Best Supporting Actor. Depends how you look at it. I've always loved this score by Jung Jae. I think it's a fucking awesome score. And there's some quotes in this movie that will just stick in your head forever, and that's why we do this podcast, is to pick these movies and highlight the best parts of them. So let's fucking do that, man. We got the Tarantino for best quote, the Ennio Morricone for best music moment, the Philip Seymour Hoffman for best performance, and the Roger Deakins for the best scene of the movie. Take it away whenever you're ready.
I would honestly not be surprised if we have a 4-way overlap here. Because I think we've been on the
wouldn't be
same page
shocked.
with this thing since the beginning.
Yeah, I would not be shocked, my man.
Oh boy. Okay. My best line. I changed this a couple times. My first one was when my original one was when they trick Mr. Kim into calling the care. And the daughter
So
picks
good.
up the phone, and the mom's just like, if she wanted to, she could be a fucking great con artist. And I'm like, are you not aware of what you people are doing right now? Like, how is this not like you are great con artists? But
a family of con men. Yeah.
But then something happened where I was like, oh boy, that was gold. It's after the flood, and they're in the gym, just kind of like, yeah, I knew it. I knew it.
This is the best quote.
Because it's such a perfect metaphor for like just life and filmmaking and anything that you put your heart into. It's like, yeah. So Key Take, I believe, says to his son, you know what kind of plan never fails? No plan. No plan at all. You know why? If you make a plan, life never works out that way. Look around us. These people think, let's all spend the night in a gym. But look now, everyone's sleeping on the floor, us included. That's why people shouldn't make plans. With no plan, nothing can go wrong. And if something spins out of control, it doesn't matter. Whether you kill someone or betray your country, none of it fucking matters. Got it? There's just so much resentment and rage and just, general like just being upset that he pours into that because he's just like, look at what our lives are compared to these, gods on a hill who will look down on us, like what we'll never have. So just stop acting like you could one day. Just accept the fact that you'll never be that, and life will go a lot smoother. It reminded me of Peter LaFleur's quote in Dodgeball, where he's like, I find that if you have a goal, you might not reach it, but if you don't have one, then you are never disappointed.
Yeah.
It's like,
as he's brushing his teeth with like Yoo-hoo. Yeah.
He's like, it's sad, but you know what? There's kind of a blissful cynicism behind that of just like, if you have no goals, like, what are you really gonna be depressed about?
Yeah, it's fascinating. But I chose the same quote. My favorite thing about it is this movie uses that idea of having a plan like over and over. And when the dad gives up, it's like, oh man, and the son's like, no. And the movie ends with the son saying, I made a plan. And it's like that comes full circle. And it's so cool when he says to dad, today I made a plan, a fundamental plan. I'm going to earn money, a lot of it. University, a career, marriage, those are all fine. But first, I'll make sure I earn money. When I have the money, I'll buy this house. On the day we move in, mom and I will be in the yard because the sunshine is so nice out there. All you'll need to do is walk up the stairs. Until then, take care. So long. It's just so awesome that he like that idea of like having a plan, being someone who always has to scheme, being a family who always has to scheme. The whole movie is a big scheme the whole time. From the opening of the movie when they're folding pizza boxes to infiltrating this family, the Parks, and taking over their house. It's brilliant. And then finally the dad's like, no, like things get fucked up and there's no way around it. It's such a gray, cynical quote, but man, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. Did I say Mr. Kim earlier? I meant Mr. Park. My mistake.
What do you mean?
I think I mixed up some characters' names, but it's fine.
Oh yeah, it's fine. It's fine. The Parks own the house.
Yes. Korean is not my first language. My apologies.
It's not mine either, but it's such a beautiful language. I've always been fascinated by it on the screen. It's such a unique, because being obviously an English speaker, the way we talk is so like pointless sometimes. I feel like Spanish and a lot of Asian languages, Korean it's very like to the point. And you don't have to like beat around the bush. It's like I love that about it. I feel like in English there's a lot of just drawn out shit that doesn't need to be there.
I agree. Yeah, there's no energy to our language. It's just like we're just kind of letting it fall out of our face.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I love the dynamic of like, the don't make a plan quote versus the son's like, I made a plan quote. Because what you've seen of this world of, the class system of Korea, he is never going to make enough money to buy that house. That plan is going nowhere, but all they've got is hope. It's the only way to keep themselves from losing everything, just falling apart from this insane situation they've landed in. So they have to just keep that plan alive, even if they know it's not going to happen. Because what else can they possibly fucking do?
Yeah.
It's great.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's fucking brilliant. It's yeah. This movie's got a wicked good screenplay, and I'm glad it won. We'll definitely. It's also original screenplay. This is a story by Bong Joon-ho, and he wrote it with Han Jin-won, and it's like, man, this is just one of those golden pieces of work. And everything I've heard about Parasite is he did a lot of it on the fly. Like Bong Joon-ho was like, it wasn't planned. There were a lot of moments where he was like, what should we do next? Like, how should this story continue? As they're filming, like it was that kind of like organic, like creative experience where it's like, oh, well, what if Moon Guang showed back up? Like, well, what if we did that? Or what if we did this? And like, that's, man, like, I want to work with people like that.
This thing feels so fucking tightly wound. Like every little moment had to happen a certain way. The fact that Bong was basically just like, let's try this out. That is incredible. That is incredible. He's like fucking Mozart. That's amazing.
Yeah, he is. He's the maestro. Bong Joon-ho is like a proper visionary of like, wait, I've done it this way before. Let's try this. Like, and it ends up being his most acclaimed movie of all time, and I don't see him passing that. Like it's pretty special. The Ennio Morricone Award. This is a good score, underrated score. I would have liked to have seen it nominated, but what'd you pick for the Ennio?
Yeah, this score is really cool. It's very operatic, very, over the top, dramatic.
Yeah.
I love that. The scene I picked was it's when they're trying to evict the housekeeper, and they're using the peach dust and like trying to make it look like she's got TB. And they come home and the dad fakes the rag in the trash can with the hot sauce, and the mom's just like
Totally.
horrified. That whole bit, the music is like, it feels like, again, like to bring up Mozart, it feels like the climax of Amadeus. It's like this big moment of like, here it is, the big reveal, like things are about to change. And it's just so smart the way they needle their way into this family's lives, and with no ill will. They just want jobs, but it's so methodical and so like creepy. If I found out that the people I just hired were a family who manipulated me and the people I had previously had working for me to get jobs, I would never be okay with anything ever again. That would scare the shit out of me.
Oh yeah, frightening reality. I love how it does become a game for the Kims. They're like the mom when she's talking about let's see, which part is it? It's the driver, when they find out about the driver, and that's when the daughter, she's the art teacher. She kind of has the idea. She like just thinks of it right there. She's like, huh. She's like, I think I could take this further. And she tells her about oh, I know a driver. He's da da da, and and the mom, Mrs. Park, is like, oh well, yeah, I only take recommendations from people I know really well. And she's known her for like maybe a few weeks, and she's just lying straight through her teeth. It's just, they do that over and over. Like, look how gullible and naive and dumb the Parks are, even though they're the rich ones.
Well, they bring up later when the Kims are having their like impromptu dinner party when the Parks go on vacation.
So
and
good.
They start talking about like the nature of wealth, and one of them says like, oh well, they're rich because they're nice people, and the mom's like, no, they're nice because they're
rich. Yeah. I love that quote. Yeah.
These people have had everything handed to them. They don't know what hard work is. They don't know what it is to live in sewer water, to have to scam Wi-Fi from the neighbors, to have to make pizza boxes to survive.
Yeah.
Like, of course they're trusting, because they don't think anybody would, why wouldn't you like them? They're rich and nice people, it's it's a crazy level of security that you convince yourself of when you're well off, where you're like, nobody could hurt me. Why would anybody want to? Everybody loves me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. I love the mom, Mrs. Kim, when she's like she's like being real, because they're drunk. They're like drinking whiskey, and she's like, if I had all this, like I'd be nicer than her, like I'd be the nicest. Like, come on, look at this fucking house, which is God, that house is just unbelievable. I was reading that there. I don't know if it's already happened or if it's something for the future. But they're apparently going to like open that up as like a tourist attraction. Like you can go to the Parasite house and like and take a tour of it and whatnot. Like, oh my God, now I got to go to fucking Korea.
Yeah, that's our next trip. We're going to fucking Seoul, and we're gonna check
Yeah,
out Parasite House.
like Jesus Christ. I mean, I've always wanted to go to Korea anyway. I've always wanted to go to Seoul, but now it's like, okay, that'd be like the main attraction. I need to read more about it. I think it's supposed to be for the future. They're like going to pour a bunch of money into it, make this whole like little thing you can do.
I wonder if you're going to be able to go in the basement.
Yeah, I think that's part of the plan, is to have have it like the movie, like it's like a map of the movie. You can kind of go around and check it all out. Go outside. They're gonna. It would be cool if they had like a fucking teepee outside. All that shit.
That's awesome. Oh, I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah, definitely. I was reading about it before we started recording, and I was like, fuck, we gotta get going. But I definitely want to look more into it and see what do you have to do? Do you have to buy, like where do you get tickets for that and that kind of a thing? My Inyo is the opening theme and the closing theme, like before as the credits roll and you see written and directed by Bong Joon-ho. The piano is, like you said, super dramatic, really really hammers home that kind of that thing you want from a score with a movie like this. When you hear it, you know exactly where you're at, and to kind of like, okay, like put my phone down, like pay attention to the screen. You're about to see art.
Like just kind of like a general resonance.
Yeah, like just
like
pulls
I'm in the presence of something powerful right now.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. I think the guy who does that best is Thomas Newman. I think he's really good at just kind of like, whatever the fuck you got going on, it's not nearly as cool as what I'm about to show you on screen. The best composers can do that, And this movie, while some of the score does sound similar in different areas, there are moments where it fucking pops, and like you like know where you're at in the movie. On a rewatch, you're kind of waiting for that, and I'm really into that. I'm always a sucker for a good theme that comes out at the beginning, and you see Parasite, and then at the end when you see the screen goes black and you see written and directed by Bong Joon-ho, and you're like, damn, like that 2 hours went by like nothing. It was just brilliance.
That is cool. And yeah, can we just talk a minute about the just brilliant double meaning of the title? Just Parasite, like
yeah.
Yes, the Kim family are, they're parasites getting into this family's lives, but this, the Park family are even worse. They live off the lifeblood of the little guy. It's what they do. They're, sucking the life out of the people of this city. Just the way they talk about, the way people smell. Like, who are the real bad guys of this movie? I mean, that's kind of up for debate, really. It depends on, I guess, your, where you end up on the way in the wage gap.
Yeah, no, I think there's a reason at the time when this movie was making its wave and won Best Picture, our president at the time was Donald Trump, and he came out and was like, "This movie sucks. You can't. It's not even in English." And it's like, how funny that a movie called Parasite would be hated by a guy who's so fucking parasitic that he doesn't even know what's up and what's down. Like you don't get it because you're it, you fucking moron. Like you don't understand the movie because middle class and lower class people are going to understand this movie and handle it much better than upper class fucking snobby, nose fucking tilted up people. Like they're not gonna get it. They're not gonna even go watch it. You know what I mean? Because it's too much of a wake up call. It's too much of in your face there's a problem with people living this way in a fucking castle with all the space in the world, and these people living in a in a basement where they don't have anything. Um, if a movie was to display how important it is for us to consider something like socialism, it's this movie. You know, it really is.
God, it's fucking embarrassing that our president actually said like it's not even in English. Like
Yeah,
our leader said that shit. I can't. Oh my god.
you know, I'm not going to name names, but there are people that are in my life that were like, I'm not watching that. It's subtitled.
Oh.
And I'm like, man, I don't want to be associated with you, but I am. Like, I love you, but right now I fucking hate you. You know, like
Yeah.
that hurt. That like really hurts. And I love that Bong Joon Ho. What's the word? He went at that topic during one of his speeches. He's like, if you can get over the little 2-inch words that are on the screen, there's like so much art out there that you can consume, and that can change you. Like that's the point of art, is to like alter the way you look at things. And man, has that not been something that I've gone through. Again, being a fucking Texan, we got a lot of people who just would turn the other way when it comes to not just Korean movies, but anything that's not in English, and not from American perspective. You know, it's really really rewarding when you can put all that shit to the side. I've gained an appreciation for so many different directors from so many different places because I love subtitles. I'm probably gonna have subtitles on no matter what, because I like to make sure I catch exactly what they're saying, whether it be loud or quiet or whatever. And I also get a kick out of when I'm at home. I get a kick out of like little things that are like when I'm watching Twin Peaks: The Return. It's like ambient noise, like in parentheses, it's like eerie music. I think that shit's funny, so I'm always gonna have subtitles on anyway.
Yeah. Last night, my family and I were watching Constantine from 2005,
Nice.
which I hadn't seen in like I think since I saw it at the movies, so like a good 17 years, which is fucking crazy.
Jesus,
But
more than half your life.
yeah, when Lucifer shows up, Peter Stormare, great fucking casting. There's a bit in the subtitles that is the greatest subtitle I've ever seen in my life, and it said in parentheses, "Satan giggles."
Yeah, see that shit gets me going. I love stuff like that. So I just don't care. Subtitles don't bother me ever. I'm never gonna be that guy who's like, hey, can we get those off? Like, can we take those down? It's like I just don't care.
I'm the exact opposite. Like honestly, if I don't have access to subtitles, I'm gonna find another way to watch that, so I can get the subtitles.
I totally understand, because when you're watching at home, it's much different than if you're going to the theater to watch 1917. It's like, well, it's right fucking in front of me and it's loud as shit. If I don't hear it, I've got problems. I've got hearing problems. When I'm at home and I have the volume on 20, I'm like, sometimes I might not catch exactly what, someone said, or I might miss a moment of comedy, like Satan giggling. So I just don't care. I just don't care. Ultimately, the subtitle thing just doesn't matter to me. It's like, it's not going to distract me.
And I was raised with a more of a global mindset because my family, they lived abroad for quite a while because my grandpa was in the military. So they lived in, my parents grew up in Germany. I was raised knowing the United States of America was not the center of the universe. So I've always had an appreciation for other cultures, and that extended into film pretty easily.
Yeah.
But not a lot of people have that mindset, and I feel bad for them.
Yeah, it's sad. It's really sad. The I don't know what's worse, is people being like, that's subtitled, or like, no, that's old.
Oh God, yeah.
They're both really annoying. I'm like, okay, well, you're clearly not like super about it. Go watch fucking House of Dragon or whatever the hell everybody else is doing.
You try to show them Rashomon, they're gonna cut you out of their life completely.
Yeah, an old foreign movie. Yeah, this is from 1950. Yeah, like, yeah, well, they were doing cool stuff back then. Anyways, the Philip Seymour Hoffman Award, best performance of the movie. I'm curious where you're at here.
Yeah, I think we're I think we're pretty simpatico here. Song Kang Ho really does dominate this movie.
My heart.
The weight on his shoulders, the layered performance he has to give of like, happy, hopeful father, but also, resentful lower class Korean, just guy. And then in the second half, when that resentment just starts bubbling over and you can just feel it come out at times. And then at the end of the party, when he just like, when Park just completely bypasses his daughter and he's like, fuck you, and goes for it. And then the aftermath, like it's a ticking time bomb you don't realize is ticking the first time you watch this until it explodes. And I appreciate a performance like that, especially after you watch it a few times and you just see the little moments that are leading up to that. I think it's an amazing performance, and I wish he would have been, if they only had picked one person to represent the actors of this film, he would have been a great kind of ambassador. And yeah,
I totally agree. Like, I think he should be right there, like with Leo and Joaquin. For, I guess you could say, best actor. I mean, he's in it a lot, and plays a huge role in this movie, and ends up becoming kind of the focal point, like you said, towards the end, when shit goes awry. And there's just something about him that I'm really into. He's Bong Joon-ho's go-to guy. And he does such different kinds of shit throughout his movies. What he does in Snowpiercer is really impressive. In Memories of Murder, he's great in that. The Host is like, man, he's so funny in that movie. He's got really long hair, and he's just kind of just a doofus, and he's so goddamn funny in that movie. And then a movie that we both watched for Filmgasm a long time ago now, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance.
Oh.
He's fucking great in that movie too. So I've kind of found this weird like attachment to him. Like, he's just, if I were making a movie, he'd be someone I would look at, even if it's for a small role, big role, whatever it is. I feel like he brings a specific presence, and Parasite's kind of his crowning achievement as a performer. He's damn good. The scenes where he's driving Mr. Park around are like top notch. Just great stuff going on there. The there's a smell, I've been on the subway, like all that kind of stuff. And when he's driving, and I love when he almost gets into like a little wreck, like a little, he, son of a bitch, and honks the horn, and Mr. Park's kind of like, wait a minute, like, are you really about this life, or like, what's going on? It's just, those are fascinating scenes when they're in the bins.
The little shit that Park says about, I like people who don't cross the line. And like,
yeah,
he almost crosses the line, but he never actually does. And I like that. It's like, who the fuck are you, man? Like, a line. Like, you're so much. Oh God, I hate those moments. When the driver would like, say stuff like, but you love your wife, right? And Park would just be like, he'd give him a look of like, what'd you just say?
Yeah, the fuck was that? Yeah.
Then he'd let it go because he'd like, and then he'd laugh it off like, oh, that was probably a joke. I'll take that as a joke. But in his eyes say that was strike one.
Yeah, definitely. Great performance from him too. Lee Sun-kun. He's great in that movie, or in this movie as well. I just think the scenes between them two are kind of like in a different category. They're both so damn good and deserve more recognition. They've been in a lot of great movies, and I like how he describes himself as a veteran grade driver. I'm like, well, you're a veteran grade actor, like you deserve a role like this, and to be in a movie this big, like, he deserves that spotlight.
He really does. This was my, intro to this guy. And from what I've, I haven't explored Bong Joon-ho's career in totality yet. I've seen Snowpiercer and Okja. I still got to watch The Host. I really got to.
Yeah. The Host is so awesome. Yeah. It's just badass. Yeah.
Yeah. He's cool. He's like, one of my like anchors to Korean film, because he's like a guy I recognize and I can be like, oh, he's in this. I'll check this out.
Yeah. That's a great way of putting it, is when you are constantly used to seeing, white guys like Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio in every goddamn movie. It is nice to be like, oh, I have the excitement of learning about this guy from a totally different place that has the same skill level. That's a cool thing to realize.
Yeah, it adds to that, global perspective of Hollywood's not the only people making movies.
Yep.
Every country has their own film community, and they've got their own superstars. And once you can recognize them, it just puts more on your list, more on your table, and just gives you more to appreciate. And who wouldn't want that?
Exactly. It's a lot of unlearning you have to do as you get older. And if you're like really into movies, you have to do that on your own. You like have to go out there and do it on your own and seek stuff out and watch foreign movies, watch old movies, find different things for yourself. No one's like movies are, you can't be like, hey, watch this for me. You have to like sit there and embrace the art. And it's, man, if you love that stuff, it's rewarding as hell. Yeah, I kind of figured we'd be on the same page there with the Philip Seymour Hoffman. He is damn good in this movie. The Roger Deakins Award. What do you got?
I love scenes that completely change the movie that you're watching.
And I think we're on the same page again.
I knew we were going to be pretty much like neck and neck here. I knew it. But when you've got the first half of this movie is basically, a crime comedy. Just this family's, of nobodies is scheming their way into working for this rich family so they can make some change. It's more funny than anything for like 45 minutes to an hour. Yeah, it's hilarious. It's just, you just keep wondering like, how far are they going to take this?
Yeah.
And when they have everybody's job, when they're just living it up in this dark house in a storm, and they're just like, drinking all their booze and like, in their bathtub and just like trash all over the place. And they're like, fuck it. We made it. We're on top. And then you get a knock on the door. And
I picked the same thing. Yeah, go ahead.
It's so fucking creepy. It's, the housekeeper who they've usurped shows up again in the middle of the night. And it's like, hey, let me in. I can prove I used to work here. There's a picture above the camera. Like, trust me, I used to work here. Just let me in for 5 minutes. And she won't go away. And you're just like, at this point, you're like, where is this going? This doesn't feel right. Something here does not feel right. And she comes inside and is like, I'll be a minute. I just got to go downstairs. And she goes downstairs, and then the new housekeeper, the mom, follows her, and just, you see her on the fucking wall between the bookshelf or like the bottle shelf and the wall, trying to push this thing. And she pushes it, and there's a fucking secret door behind the bookshelf. And now you're just like, we're about to enter a goddamn horror movie. Like, everything is about to change, and you can feel the vibe completely leave the room and be replaced with something alien and scary, unsettling, and it just goes darker from there. It's amazing. Very few filmmakers can pull that kind of complete tonal shift off, but this was a master stroke. It really was. Yeah,
I totally agree. It is the turning point of the movie. I love leading up to that, because when you're watching and you see the trailer for this movie and you're watching it, you're like, something's going to happen. Like, this isn't going to just be fine. Like, how far are they going to take it? But at some point, like, it's like when push comes to shove, something's going to happen. And it's not what you expect. You expect, oh, they're going to get caught. Someone's going to find out that they're related. Instead, it's like all of those things, but by Moon Guang, who's like the most creepy looking, also innocent looking woman. It's like this weird mesh. And because she still has the rash from the peaches, she's frightening in that camera. And she's like, there's a picture of 3 dogs right above the monitor. Like, let me in. And then the creepiest part of that whole bit, before she goes down and starts pushing the shelf, is it's really dark and you can't see past that. When you're in the kitchen, it's just like, man, it's a master class work in cinematography and lighting and production design. That kitchen is so fucking creepy. And when you're looking down into that kind of little basement before you go down to the barbarian basement, you're like, oh my God, like, where are they going to go? And Moon Guang turns around and looks at the mom, to Mrs. Kim, and says, do you want to come with me? Like, hell no, I don't want to go with you down there. That looks fucking crazy, And God, when you get to see her husband for the first time, you're like, what? And she starts feeding him like a baby bottle, like of milk. And you're like, oh, like, I don't, I'm uncomfortable. And then the whole thing with the family falling down the stairs, and he called, the son is like, Dad, my foot. And then Moon Guang is like, whoa, like, what is this? Like now the tables have turned, you fucking idiots, and now we have you on the ropes. And from there, you got the one of the most badass movies I've ever seen.
All right, first off, the Barbarian Basement. Beautiful.
that's what it is now, you know. Barbarian used basement's the best I've seen in a long time.
Oh man, and yeah, it's the creepiest moment for me until we get into the Barbarian Basement was when Moon Guang just casually says like, "Oh, it's okay. I cut the wire to the CCTV camera. They're not going to know I'm here." It's like, why would you do that?
Which is such a huge moment because that's how Mr. Kim, when he does murder everybody, you know, or well, when Moon Guang's husband murders everybody and then he murders Mr. Park and he's able to sneak down that alleyway into the garage is because that camera's not working. Yeah. So it's like man, like they really tied everything together. Like there's not really any plot holes in this movie, and God, I love that.
You even get little lines like Mr. Park talking about, you know, his old housekeeper, and it's like she always ate so much. It's like she ate for two.
For two,
like,
yeah, God.
And then you're like, yeah, because your fucking husband's in the basement, running from creditors because his fucking pie shop didn't work out or whatever it was.
Yeah, and that character, boy, oh boy, is he creepy. You know, not necessarily the actor. You look at the actor and you're like, oh, that's a good looking guy, you know. But in this movie, you're like, holy fuck! Like they really made him once Moon Guang dies from the concussion when she gets pushed down the stairs and she has the concussion and is like, you know, and then eventually dies. Like he loses his mind and he's like, well, I have nothing to fucking live for anymore. Like I was holding out here for 4 years so that eventually these, you know, loan sharks would leave us alone and like me and my wife could go live a happy life. Once he loses that, he's like, I don't care anymore. Like it just doesn't matter. And then he starts banging his head on the lights and he's got blood everywhere. Smashes the son's head with the rock that they received at the beginning of the movie, which is also another really cool full circle thing. Yeah. And he goes out there and he goes Michael Myers on everybody, you know, it's such a fucking crazy scene because it's so bright outside. It's like this party where like grown-ass men are dressed like the Native Americans. And he goes out there with a fucking steak knife and is like, I'm gonna kill people. And like that's what's going down. And you're like, I've never seen a movie do this. Like I've never seen them, you know, usually a slasher is like at nighttime and it's in a house and he's sneaking up on people or whatever. This was like, no, it's in like broad daylight. The killer doesn't care if he gets caught. That's part of he wants to get caught. Like it certainly feels that way. And it's the last hour of this movie is such a mind fuck. And I could talk about it forever. Every single little string of the movie is not a scene. It's like a greater cause. Like a greater cause is going to be served by the end. I love that about it.
I love that he's, you know, to the little kid, he's the ghost that traumatized him on his birthday years ago because he saw a face in the fucking darkness of his basement and had a seizure. Yeah. And then it happens again. He sees those eyes and he has the seizure. And you know, because of prior conversation, they've got 15 minutes to get this kid to the hospital. Yeah, or he's gonna die. And you get Park's frustration and anger. I mean, yeah, he is going to prioritize his own son over who he believes is his son's art teacher.
Correct.
So like in that moment, I don't, you know, it's hard to blame him, but it's also really easy to blame him because you're this whole movie through the perspective of, you know, the Kim family. So it really is a tough one to kind of throw blame at here, you know?
The trigger for Mr. Kim is when he plugs his nose.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, motherfucker. Like, I've had enough. I've had enough of your snobby, ridiculous, you know, perspective on people who are less than you, you know, quote unquote. Like,
well, and before that, you know, when he's sitting in the Native American costume in the bushes and he's like, he's got this look of like, how the hell did my life get here? And you know, Park's like, hey, you're getting paid extra for this. So consider this part of your job. It's like, Jesus, man. Like, at what point, like, how much do you have to be paid to completely abandon your dignity?
Yeah, that's what's going on. That's what's going on there. You know, it's like, for today, you're his uncle. You know, you're going to be my son's uncle, and I'm going to pay you a few $100s, but you know, that's what we're doing today. And you're going to dress like, you know, you're in fucking first grade. Oh man, this movie rules. So we both agree that the best, like, quote unquote scene or moment is when Moon Guang shows back up.
Yeah, because it's a complete shift in the movie. The
Yeah.
comedy is completely gone. It is now a horror movie,
Yeah.
and maintains that for the rest of the film. It's, you know, so great. There's the tension of like them hiding under the table while the Parks start, you know, dry humping on the couch.
Yeah. He's like, you should wear that dirty underwear. You're like, that would, I get so hard. Like, what? You know, when you watch foreign movies, you know, you're hearing a different language. So you're doing a lot of reading.
Mhm.
But sometimes when I'm watching a foreign movie, I'll say it out loud. Like, I'll say what I'm reading out loud, and I'm like, that's funny as shit.
Hands down, the funniest line, or I was like belting out laughing, was when the Kim family's in their house. They're having dinner, like celebrating, you know, the part, and they're like, everything's gonna work out. And the father just goes, "Son of a bitch, there he is again." And the guy is pissing outside their home again, and he's just like, "God damn it!" Like, completely ruined his moment because it's just so seamless. It's just like speech. God damn it, there he is.
And I don't know if this is something that's like just the way it translates, but like, we like English speaking people don't really say out loud to other people, "Get a grip." But that's what they say to the guy when they go outside. They're like, "Get a grip." They're throwing water on him.
I love that the guy's like starts fighting back with his piss. He's like, "Get back!"
Yeah, haha, yeah. It's just fucking absurd. The funniest line to me, I mean, there's a lot of them, but like the one where like it caught me off guard was when Moon Guang says to Mrs. Kim, "Don't call me sis, you filthy bitch."
Yeah,
Like,
it went from "Please God, don't turn us in" to "You my filthy bitch, you lied to me." It's such a great.
Yeah, it's brilliant because, you know, at that point things start coming to fruition. She's like, like, they're the ones who probably put peaches in my fucking, you know, they're the reason I'm not working anymore. They're the reason that I had to mess up my whole scheme with my husband being right there. You know, this movie also has that thing going for it where, and maybe I don't know. I know there's like a TV show or whatever, like, based on it, or like, I don't really know what the TV shows. I don't care. Like, it just is not. I'm not gonna watch that. You know, this is one of those classic, like, keep it on ice, don't fucking touch that movie type movies. Don't make a sequel. But there's so many things that make you wonder, like, oh man, like, that would be a cool movie. That would be a cool movie. You know, there's 4 years here where Moon Guang and her husband are doing this thing, this back and forth thing. There's the architect who built the house and lived in it for years. I'm like, I want to know what that guy was like. It has that thing, that layered thing going for it, where you're like, even the unsaid and the unheard things in the movie are just as interesting as what's happening. Like, it's like power. That's like storytelling power. I want to know. I want to hang out with the Kims for the couple years before all this happens. Like, they're hilarious. I would love to hang out with them more. You know, it's that kind of a thing. But I don't really want to. I want it to stay contained. I want it to stay within these 2 hours of Parasite. It's just interesting.
It's that quality that a film has where you realize, like, it does not begin and end with you. Like, you are invited to participate as a viewer into this world that exists with or without you. And those are cool stories. I love those.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think you and I have kind of, when we have a movie like that, where it like has that quality to it, we end up having these amazing conversations about them on this podcast, on this show, on Oscar Sunday, because it's such a rewarding trait for a movie to have, and it makes it so rewatchable because you're constantly like, your gears are always moving. It's always like, oh man, like, I could go down that rabbit hole and that rabbit hole and that rabbit hole, but what's happening in front of me is fucking awesome. You know, it's such a unique thing.
One of my favorite, like, juxtaposition moments is after the big storm that nearly destroys their house and puts all these people in the gym because they're, you know, the whole lower section of this city has completely been destroyed. And Kim is driving Mrs. Park to like take care of her, you know, birthday duties. And she's talking to somebody on the phone. It's like, oh yeah, all the, you know, all the vegetation looks so great because of the storm. Like we really needed that. And Kim's just like, this, he lost everything from that storm. Because, rain is a very different thing, between rich and poor people. And
Yeah.
it's just little moments like that are so rewarding because you were paying attention. It's a great script.
Yeah, truly. I love that moment. I love the naivety of Mrs. Park just being like, yeah, that was necessary.
Yeah, what a great storm.
Like, I'd love for you to spend the night in a fucking gym with, hundreds and hundreds of other people and see how it feels,
It would never be able to handle the smell.
No, of course not. Yeah. Of course not. It smells like the subway. Oh man. That's brilliant. Yeah, this movie rules, man. We're not done talking about it yet, but we're definitely going to take a little break here and talk about some other movies as well that it beat. Some movies that it fucking knocked out at the Oscars. The Best Picture category. It's 9 movies overall. We both ranked 9-1. I expect we'll have some similarities, some major differences, but all in all, this is in the new age of having 8-9 nominees. This is one of my favorite Best Picture categories. It's not easy to compare something like this, 9 movies to say, 2007, where there's just 5 movies. It's like, well, it's half the work. But they got a good group here. These are 9 movies worth talking about that have, legitimate, good filmmakers. It's got a wide variety of different stories. So I'm excited to kind of dive into them, talk about them. Because like you said, we did a lot of these as bonus episodes back in the day. It'll be nice to kind of go back down memory lane and figure out which ones still connect with us 3 years later.
Yeah. This is neat. A lot of these films are special. As always, it's not perfect. There's so few just perfect runs for Best Picture, especially when you got 9 films.
Yeah.
But what's good here is pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I agree. Right off the bat, do you want to, after we do this, you want to try to figure out what the 5 should have been after we rank them?
I would like to do that, yes.
And not only the 5 out of this group, but the whole year. Like The Lighthouse and Waves and, those kind of like outliers that didn't quite make as much noise.
Okay. Yeah, we can try that.
All right. So start out with your 9 and we'll get this thing rolling.
My number 9 is The Irishman.
Yeah. Number 9 and 8 for me, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know what to do with those. I also have The Irishman 9, but I feel like I've only seen it the one time. I think you're in the same boat, right?
Yeah, I don't have time to rewatch a 3.5-hour gangster drama. I just don't have that kind of time.
I tried to get to all of these. I almost did. There's only 2 of them, that I didn't watch all the way through, and that bothers me because I wanted to get to all of them. But it is just 3 years ago. I do feel like my attitude towards The Irishman is not going to change a whole lot.
Yeah.
But I have people that I like trust and know and care about. They're like, no, it's pretty good. The Irishman's pretty good, and I'm like, fuck, like maybe I need to check it out again.
I was looking at some of my old reviews and I forgot that Caleb gave this a 9. He loved The Irishman.
Yeah, my brother Adam was like, no, The Irishman's solid. I'm like, fuck.
I don't look, okay. Personally, I think like when in your year when the worst movie that you've got at Best Picture is a Martin Scorsese directed gangster drama about Jimmy Hoffa, it could be worse. That's a good year. But this film is incredibly bloated, really does not deliver with the de-aging technology that was so revolutionary.
That took me out of this movie. Straight up. The De Niro stuff took me out.
I am so aware I'm watching a 70-year-old Robert De Niro right now. It's and it was just not very compelling. There's so much happening here that could have been cut for time. This could be 3 movies. This could be a miniseries, but a 3-hour and 45-minute movie. Are you fucking kidding me? That's insane.
Yeah.
And I like Pacino in it. I think Pesci is kind of just floating his way through it. De Niro, same deal. A lot of these characters don't really add anything to the movie. And I think the story's probably bullshit too. Like, I don't think this dude had anything to do with Hoffa. Like, it's billed as a true story, but a lot of people have completely refuted that, saying that Frank Sheeran didn't know shit.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't get it. I think everyone went ape shit because it was Scorsese doing another gangster movie with De Niro, Pesci, and Pacino. But I don't think a lot of them watched the whole thing.
Yeah, that's certainly how I felt. Nominated for 10 Oscars at that ceremony and didn't win any. Maybe that tells you something.
Yeah, it's Oscar bait, plain and simple. But still, it's not horrible. I've downgraded it to a 7. I think I do need to just carve out some time and just commit to watching this thing again.
Maybe we could do it together someday. We can like make a thing out of it, get some fucking food, get some Philly cheesesteaks or something, and watch The Irishman. And maybe like, maybe maybe just like not look at it as a best picture nominee or whatever. Just like just watch it as a movie and just kind of like drop everything else. Cause I do want to give it one more chance. Just one. I think every movie deserves, not every movie, but most movies they do deserve a rewatch, especially a fucking Marty Scorsese movie. Like this guy is one of the American treasures. I do want to give it a chance, but because I don't really have like a relationship with it, it's my number 9 as well. It's just kind of like I don't really know what to say about it. But people who are fans of it, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We're on the same page with this one, and I know there's people out there who do really care about this one.
Well, I'd heard, this had been in development for so long. It had changed, it had changed hands. Actors had come and gone. And then, when it was finally happening, like my expectations were incredibly high.
That's true. That's true.
And I think maybe now that I know what to expect, now that I know it's not going to be as amazing as, it's not Goodfellas 2. It's it's just another one. It's just another movie. So, yeah, I think if we, collectively lower our expectations and just kind of go in, commit to it, maybe we'll be a little less disappointed.
Yeah, true. Maybe come out the other side and say, "Hey, this movie actually is okay." Anyways, that's for a different day. What's your number 8?
My number 8 is Joker.
Same here.
This was, the year of Scorsese, apparently, because with The Irishman, you also got basically, Taxi Driver 2.
And King of Comedy, yeah.
Yeah, with a little pumpkin spice.
And like such on the nose casting of Robert De Niro and Joker, like
it's not even subtle. It's insanely.
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea doing a movie about Batman's greatest enemy and like where he came from, but nobody really asked. We all were just kind of okay with the mystery, and it's just so uninspired and so unoriginal. And I've seen better movies that this clearly stole from, and nobody really seemed that bothered by it because this was a $1 billion success. It was up for like 11 Oscars, and everyone was just kind of like applauding this thing as some like creative like flash of genius. And I watched it and it was like, it was good, but like, are we just going to ignore the fact that this was totally ripped off?
Yeah, I just don't really care for this one. It's like a 7 out of 10 movie. I just don't. It's fine. I liked in theaters. I was like, that was a cool experience, and I love Joaquin to death. So it's cool to see him have his moment. But it's like, should a guy win Best Actor when he did the weight loss thing and he does some cool physical stuff in this movie? The laugh is really interesting. But like Heath Ledger did it better, like 11 years before, and it's a lot of Todd Phillips just being like, let's point the camera at him, let's do a little slow-mo, and he's just gonna dance. I just don't care. Like, I don't care for that to be like rewarded. Like, cool, make your movie, do your thing. Todd Phillips, like the guy who, just made like raunchy comedies in the 2000s. Like, cool, you're like trying something different. That's great. But this is not a very rewatchable movie to me. Shockingly, I've seen it probably more than half of these movies. I've seen it probably 4 or 5 times already. And every time that I watch it, I'm just like less and less interested in what it has to offer. It also is getting this like weird ass sequel that I really don't want to even get into. I don't even want to get into it. I just don't care. That's coming out in like whatever fucking 3 years. It's it's this weird fascination with Joker, and you touched on it, that like, oh, this is like the work of a genius, and like what Joaquin is doing is genius in this movie. What I see is a pretty unoriginal, pretty uninspiring, and unconnected movie that like means nothing to DC, like means nothing to the greater story of these comics, and like doesn't really tie into anything. It's like, let's talk about Joker again for the 40th time this century. Like, I'm tired of it. Fucking tired of it. So my least favorite part of the Batman, Matt Reeves Batman, was the ending where I was like, Joker again? Like, can we give it a rest? Like, for the love of God. Like, it was a cool moment in the movie because you're like, oh, but then I thought about it when I got home and I was like, I loved the Batman, but like that pissed me off. like let's give it a fucking rest, because let's be honest, we're not getting a live action Heath Ledger performance again anytime soon. We don't have anybody who has that in them. And it just came out, 14 years ago. That's not that long in the grand scheme of movie making. I don't know. I'm just tired of it. Just tired of that character. The only way I love seeing Joker over and over is Mark Hamill. Is the animated, hour and 20-minute movies that are just like pop, 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 entertaining. And that's just what it is. And Mark Hamill's the best at the voice. I'm tired of these live action versions of the Joker where it's like looked at as this, oh my God, this guy's gonna go for it. It's like, okay, I'm good. And the whole late 70s thing that they're going for, where it's like, obviously it's Taxi Driver 1976 in New York. It just means nothing to like the greater DC story. It means nothing to it. And I think that was a mistake. I think that was a mistake. I think when you get you get the firepower of Joaquin Phoenix, you should probably use that to your advantage. You should probably use that for uplifting what DC has been failing to do for a long time now.
I'm with you. I think for me, one of the biggest sins of the film, I mean, what Mark Hamill and Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson and even Jared Leto have in common with the Joker is that not once does it ever muddy the waters of what this guy represents. This dude is a bad guy. He's a villain. He's a psycho. He kills people. You're not supposed to feel bad for him. You're not supposed to want him to find love. You're not supposed to understand his motivations. He's just a psycho who put clown makeup on and wanted to fuck this city up. That is it.
Yeah.
But exploring that mystery, trying to get in this guy's head and like explain why he is like he is, not only does it take the mystery away, it also excuses a lot of this behavior and makes him painted as some kind of anti-hero, which is really fucked up. And I feel like inspired the wrong people to, get behind this movie.
Yep.
And I don't care for that in the slightest. And I think it's going to happen again when this fucking sequel comes out.
Yeah. Yeah. People that like love this movie, they're like, yeah, it's about mental health. I'm like, really? Really, dude? Like, that's where we're going to go with this? Like, that's how you're going to excuse him like murdering people? Is like, yeah, but he was cast to the side over and over by society. Okay, I've seen way better stories about that particular topic, way better, and then actually do people like that justice.
Like Taxi Driver, which very much shows how demented Travis Bickle is, and you're not supposed to like this guy. You're supposed to be afraid of what this guy's capable of. Yeah. Because not of what society has done to him, but because what he has convinced himself society has done to him.
Correct.
Yeah. And Phillips ain't no Martin. So that just, didn't come across the way he, I think, thinks he came at, whatever. Fuck it. I don't like it.
Neither do I. It's also in the greater, conversation of like a best picture category. I'm like, it has no business. Like, it has no business being there. There's 20 other movies from 2019 that I would put over it for a Best Picture nomination.
The only reason it didn't make number 9 is because it is half the length of The Irishman.
That's a good point. I felt more comfortable putting it at 8 because I've seen it more and like I know what my feelings are about it. You know, I've seen it enough now where I'm like, okay, I understand like what I do like about it and what I don't like about it. And with The Irishman, I'm more just kind of like, fuck, I don't know. I've only seen it once. But all right, we're on the same page here. Number 7, what do you got? I expect this is where we're going to change up a little bit.
I have a feeling. My number 7 is Little Women.
Okay, all right, interesting.
It's not a bad movie. Everything from here on out, I do like. So let's just
me too. Me too. I have like fond memories of and I do enjoy.
I don't like it. It rubs me the wrong way when remakes get into the major categories.
Fair, especially a movie that's a story that's been redone like 1,000 times. Yeah,
picture and screenplay specifically, because what are you bringing to the table that's different from every other version of Little Women that's out there?
Okay, which ones have you seen?
I've seen clips of the 90s one.
Okay,
and I'm familiar with the story overall.
So that Greta Gerwig did, like, the ending is completely different from anything anybody's ever seen with Little Women.
Okay.
The ambiguity of this Little Women, that was like what I think people like praised her for, was she took like a classic story and she did make it her own. And on this rewatch, what I loved about Little Women, it's my number 6, so I have it. It's really close to you.
Okay.
What I enjoyed about it, I give it an 8 out of 10. First off, the performances are fucking awesome. Everybody's knocking out of the park.
Give you that.
Especially Florence Pugh, like that. She is fantastic in this movie. My favorite thing about it is it doesn't treat you like a fucking idiot. It does the time jump thing, going from when they're younger to older, but it never is like, this is what's happening now. It's like, it's never like, 1862, 1864. It just kind of like lets you watch it. Like, you actually have to pay attention and figure that out. On this rewatch, I was just kind of like, this is well done, like well crafted. And I think Greta Gerwig, like that's like balls. Like, I agree with you that it is quite annoying when a movie and a story that's been done over and over and over gets in here, or like West Side Story is a straight up remake, gets into Best Picture this past year. That is a little annoying, but I do have respect for what Gerwig did and the performances she got out of people. Like, holy hell, she directed the shit out of that movie.
Okay, fair enough. And I know that if you combine all of our Oscar Sundays, it does feel like I've got like a personal like vendetta against Greta Gerwig. I don't, I promise.
I swear. That's funny. No, it's not. It's not like amazing. And on any given year, I wouldn't have it nominated for Best Picture, but I do think it's a good movie. I enjoyed it a lot this past time I watched it. I also think it's a cool year for Tracy Letts. He's in Little Women and Ford vs Ferrari, both great performances. He's amazing. He's also the dad in Lady Bird, and he's like my favorite character in that movie. So that was a fun kind of revelation I had. But overall, I think it's pretty good. So that's your 7, my 6. My 7 is a movie I anticipate that you'll have a lot higher. That's Jojo Rabbit. Damn. I loved Jojo Rabbit when we saw it in theaters. We got out of there and I was like, that was fucking awesome. I've never seen anything like it. I don't know what it was on this rewatch. I hadn't fully rewatched it since then. I saw it in theaters and I've seen, bits and pieces. It's been on HBO and I'm like, oh, let me just check out what's going on with this movie. But, I sat down and watched the whole thing because you have it on your Vudu. I just didn't like laugh as much as I thought I did or expected to. It like didn't land. Like, a lot of the humor didn't land with me this time. And I was like, I remember being in theaters and you and I fucking chuckling the whole time, Of course, there's a big moment with ScarJo's character where like I think I was straight up crying in the theater. And this time, like, I just didn't like have that connection to it. Like, just didn't land as much with me. Maybe that's something that has to do with me. Maybe that's Jojo Rabbit is a one and done movie for me. I did enjoy it at the Bijou, but this time at home, I just wasn't as jazzed about it. Still liked it, still enjoyed it, but I wasn't, I remember being pretty elated by it. And we went to your apartment after we saw it and we recorded about it like right away. And we both were like, this is fucking great. Go see this. It's going to be up for stuff. And this time around, I'm just not as into it. It happens.
That's a shame. Yeah, I was able to watch this one and I still love it. I still think it's something special and I'll be talking about it a bit later.
Yeah, I figured. Okay, so that's my number 7. Your number 7's Little Women. My Little Women's my number 6. So what's your 6?
My 6, and I want to reiterate, from 7 to 1 are movies I do enjoy. I like all of these.
That means this is going to be one that I like a lot.
Yeah, this is going to hurt. Number 6 is Marriage Story.
Yeah, Noah Baumbach. I knew it was coming. Yeah, I'll talk about that one later, so take it away.
I think this is a great movie. I think it's brilliant. I think it's a very depressing and realistic depiction of just a brutal divorce. And really what it amounts to is I like the other 5 films more. There's really I don't have anything bad to say about Marriage Story.
Totally fair.
Yeah. It's great. It's smart. It's sad. You can tell this came from a very real place. And yeah, I think, Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson are fucking magical together. Just, I believed every ounce of that, toxic, broken relationship. So yeah, way to go.
Yeah. Kramer versus Kramer, the sequel. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah, it's great. I love it. So I'll talk about that one later. So that's your number 6.
Yes.
Okay. So we got to go to your number 5 now, because Little Women's my number 6. So what's your 5?
My 5 is Ford v Ferrari.
That's my 5 too. All right.
Right on. Yeah, this movie kicks ass. I got nothing but good things to say from like here on out. It's just the way I was thinking on this day.
I love Ford vs Ferrari. It's just fun. It's fun as shit.
It's awesome. It's a great, just story of the little car that could, and the driver who was, had big enough balls to drive it. How do you not just get behind that? It's fucking awesome. It's Matt Damon and Christian Bale just, sticking it to Ferrari.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. Yeah, every performance is cool. It's funny. It's endearing. The ending is really sad, and like it's just American as shit. Like it's just one of those like, we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna get it done. Type movies. And Carol Shelby, Matt Damon's performance. Like this time around, I was like, man, he's good in this movie. He's like damn good. He's doing the accent. He's doing the like, I'm a fucking car guy. Like that's what I do. Josh Lucas, awesome in this movie. John Bernthal, awesome in this movie. Again, Tracy Letts is fucking great. Everybody brings the pain in this movie. And one of my favorite things about it is they cast Remo Girone for Enzo Ferrari. I thought that was a really cool casting. Not fucking Adam Driver. Like, god damn it. I thought it was a cool casting. They're like, hey, let's get a guy who is actually from this part of the world. There you go.
Yeah, I get it, man. It's the way Hollywood kind of goes back and forth between like, we need inclusion and proper representation to just give it to the American. Like it's a back and forth constant struggle that always seems to be one step forward and like 38 steps back.
Yeah, that's so true. This one does a great job. I think the casting is the best part. It's not a movie that's going to change your life. It's not a Parasite. It's not like, oh my god, this is an all-time classic. But it is a entertaining movie. It is a Hollywood fucking movie, and it is an 8 out of 10 for me. It's like, I have fun. I've watched this movie a few times now. This is another one that you have on your Vudu, I believe. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking use the shit out of Connor's Vudu this week. I watched like half of these movies on your Vudu because they're not on streaming services, and I was like, this is great.
Yeah, apart from the 2 that are Netflix originals, I have all of these on my Vudu.
Yeah, it's great, fantastic.
Delightful. Yeah, Ford v Ferrari is fucking awesome. If you love James Mangold, this is just another feather in his cap and just such a cool, fun movie. I think it won for sound design or sound editing One of
I think
those.
you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. And this is one I was just talking to my dad on the phone today. He was like, "What are you doing tonight?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm recording." And he's like, "Oh, cool. What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Well, we're talking about Parasite, but we're also talking kind of about like 2019." And he was like, "Well, like what movies were that year?" And I named them all. And the first one that popped out to him was Ford vs Ferrari. It's like, yeah, that's my he's a 60-year-old dad, you know. he thought Ford vs Ferrari was really cool, but he said the reason I liked it is because you and I went to see it together, like just me and him. And I was like, oh man, that's cool as fuck. I love that. And those moments that you have when you watch movies like that roar, literally roar in the theater, and you're like, this is why you go to the theater to watch quote unquote theater movies. Ford vs Ferrari is a great example of that.
Truly, truly. I look forward to hopefully doing it on our upcoming new series.
Oh yeah, that'd be perfect to really dive in to see like what's true and what's not. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great. I
Yeah.
I don't really care if like a bunch of it's bullshit.
No.
It's just fun. It's just a fun movie. I know things are exaggerated.
There's certain biopics where I'm like, I want answers. I want this to be historically accurate because it's something that like I've researched or I know a lot about or I care a lot about. But if you just want to, show me like, America wanted to win a race against Ferrari, and this is maybe what happened. Okay, sure. I'm in. I don't like you find out this is bullshit. It's not going to like, bring down an empire. It doesn't matter.
Correct. Ford vs Ferrari does represent a kind of movie that I feel like is not going to exist at some point. A movie that cost $50 million makes like $200 million back is not this monster box office movie, but also isn't cheap. They pay a lot of money to do what they're doing and get the rights to Shelby Cobra and Ferrari and Ford and all these different things. Like it's like worth it though, if that makes any sense. I know like that's a lot of money to spend on a fucking movie, but like they made it back hand over fist. It's an entertaining movie, but it's not like pretentious at all. It's not. It's just a Hollywood movie. It's like the run of the mill, like not cheap, not super expensive, good movie. Like this, like we should be churning 40 of these out per year that are just good. And I feel like that day is going to end at some point. Like that's already. I feel like that doesn't exist too much anymore.
Yeah, the streamers have kind of absorbed that concept and turned it into a conveyor belt, kind of, one after another release that lacks substance. But you need somebody like Matt Damon and Christian Bale to bring gravitas to this. You need a director like James Mangold to care, and that's how you make a project like this.
Yeah, straight up, man. Yeah, Ford vs Ferrari would be a really cool movie for an episode just to dive into all that stuff, not just the historical accuracies and inaccuracies, but just kind of what it is, like what it represents for movie making. And I wish there were a lot of these every year. I wish there were a lot of intriguing, just movies, fucking movies, not necessarily popcorn, but also not fucking again Parasite. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like sometimes you don't need to have your mind blown by wholly original thought that's going to stay with you for the rest of your life. But also, you're kind of getting tired of watching Thor kill some CGI orcs. You need a middle ground movie.
Exactly.
I totally get that.
Exactly. Because nowadays it either is, oh, look at this, $5 million horror movie called Barbarian that's, getting this wave of attraction, or it's Thor, or it's, whatever superhero movie is coming out. There's not a lot of middle ground anymore, and that sucks. But that's the way it is now. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Jojo Rabbit.
Okay. Yeah, I figured to be right here.
I love satire. I love Taika Waititi's storytelling style. I think he's hilarious. I think he's got a lot to say. And I love that he is, a Jew lambasting Hitler. I mean, that's just beautiful. And I think this film is very well acted. It's a good balance. It could be better at times. And sometimes it's too heavy on the comedy or it's not heavy enough on the drama, and we kind of lose that footing sometimes.
Fair.
But I think the performances outweigh that. I think the story is very, touching. I mean, the idea of, what a 10-year-old Hitler youth is going to see the Holocaust as what he's going to see World War II as, this is what it would look like. Just kind of why wouldn't Hitler be your goofy imaginary friend when everything you've been taught about Hitler is that he's like the greatest man on earth who is going to lead your country into a golden age? Like, if that's all and then you start realizing along the movie that the people you love and support are the monsters who killed your mother, who destroyed your family, who have lied to you about everything. That's some hardcore shit to cope with, man. And I think this movie really does that well. It shows you JoJo's complete turnaround so well. It's a very exciting film.
That's a good point. I do think on paper this is like a movie that like should be explored and should be made. Like, it's a fascinating idea to again have this little 10-year-old who's fascinated by Nazi Germany. He's a fanatic, but through that lens, it is like so dark that it's comedy.
Yeah, and I think the comedy and drama is balanced well. My favorite thing about it is Taika Waititi's performance as Hitler. It starts as you're gonna be fine, you're great, Heil Hitler, it's gonna be awesome, we're great. And as JoJo learns more about the Nazis and the Third Reich, that goofy Hitler starts morphing into a more realistic, evil, sadistic Hitler, to the point where at the end he's like, you need to kill her, she is a Jew. And JoJo, renounces him. It's done. I think it's done so well. And that's cool. I get lost in it. I'm so glad he won screenplay for this. It was great for his career. I'm sure it, really boosted What We Do in the Shadows, which I love. So
yeah, definitely. This is the movie where it's like, okay, I don't know. Ragnarok was a big deal too, right? A couple years prior to that. But you kind of need both. You kind of need the JoJo, the Best Picture nominee, Oscar-winning, original type work, and the Ragnarok to kind of lift him up to like the place that he is now. Everybody knows who he is now. Like, everybody. It is very rare to meet a movie person or a pop culture person who doesn't know the name Waititi. Like he's a big deal.
Yeah, I think, if he hadn't done Jojo Rabbit, if he hadn't won the Oscar for that, I don't know if he would have been in Free Guy saying the quote, Albuquerque boiled turkey, which I laugh at every fucking time I hear that.
There you go. Yeah, I still haven't even seen that movie.
It's cute. It's, lower your expectations. It's not changing the world, but it's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, you know me. I don't have a lot of time for that kind of stuff, but I am human. I am human. Occasionally I like to have a good time, That's funny. I'm just that's Ryan Reynolds, right?
Yeah, he's a video game character who becomes self-aware.
Yeah, I'm not like super into his movies, I love him. Love what he's doing with Wrexham Football Club, but yeah, I'm not like crazy about his movies. He's at this point he's a straight up movie star. That's who he is. So your number 4, Jojo Rabbit. My number 4. From here on out, I take these movies very, very, very seriously. My number 4 is 1917. Sam Mendes directed. Yeah, you know me. My top 3 can't be touched. Those are like made for me. 1917 is damn good. Damn good. I hadn't, that is the definition of a theater movie. The kind of it feels like it's in 2 shots, the whole movie, right? You have the long tracking shot of our 2 guys going through hell, basically. And then you have when he gets knocked unconscious, when his helmet gets shot. Schofield, our main character, when he gets shot in the head and it hits his helmet and he gets knocked unconscious and the screen goes black. And then it feels like after that, from then on out, is another like single shot. It's edited so well. It's Mr. Roger Deakins behind the camera just putting in a shift. And it's a damn good movie. Like, it really is. And I think any given year, like ever, this movie's up for Best Picture. I think it has that going for it. I think it's the definition of like going for something greater than your average shit when it comes to movies. Sam Mendes, this is clearly from the heart. This is clearly a personal story. Something that he wanted to do, it feels like, for ages. And he finally got a chance to do it with the right team and he gets a really unique cast of all kinds of Brits. You get a little bit of Colin Firth, a little bit of Benedict Cumberbatch. It's like just riddled with these stars, and it's a very British story about someone stepping up and doing something way bigger than themselves to save 1,600 men from dying, from getting annihilated by some pretty evil forces. So I really really liked it. Again, this is one that I think is only on your Vudu. I think it might be on like Amazon Prime or something. I don't really know. I'm not 100%, but I sat back and I watched it. Of course it's not the same as in the theater. Like I'll never forget that, just because of the scope of it, and Deakins is built for the theater. But I had a good time this time watching it. I was kind of like, yeah, this is just as good as I remembered. This is an 8, maybe a 9 out of 10 kind of movie. It's like it's a unique experience. So this top 4 here, these are serious movies. These are like I would put them in a Best Picture category in most years, and that's special.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have a pretty deep reverence for 1917, so it'll be a little bit later.
So you're number 3.
My number 3 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Goddamn.
I know.
Rick fucking Dalton.
Rick fucking Dalton. We just did this. Y'all know how much we love this movie.
Yeah. I didn't rewatch this because we just did it, a few weeks ago. It feels like I think it was like literally a month ago.
This is the only 10 for me on this list. So putting it at number 3 was hard.
I see what you did. So you went more personally. That's your favorite movie,
Yeah.
but the 2 that are higher, which we obviously know what they are, you think are more Best Picture worthy.
Yeah. And I didn't used to think like that. You've changed me, man.
I like that. I think that's cool. I remember I did that and you were like, wait, what? I did that with 1971 because of Clockwork Orange. I'm like, that's not for everybody. Like, that's a 10 for me and you, but we're freaks, that's not. I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, yeah, I hear you on that. Like, I hear you. It's not 1917 or Parasite. It's not like for everyone. But those other movies, I don't see how you couldn't enjoy it, as just a general movie fan. Once Upon a Time, I'm here. I'm willing to hear people who are like, fuck that movie. I'm like willing to hear it. I get it. I love it to death. It's a 10 out of 10 for me as well.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's fun. It's memorable. It's satisfying. And I love it. And as much as I love to see Tarantino take home a Best Picture statue, I don't think it's ever going to happen.
No, it's not.
But, this is a delightful movie, but it's nowhere near as game-changing as my top 2. And when you're Best Picture, when you are representing the best of the year, you got to bring something to the table that I have never seen before. And my top 2 did that. So as much as I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it is, my favorite movie of this bunch, but it does it comes in at number 3 here.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. Totally get it. If you put a gun to my head, it's probably my favorite movie of the group as well. So I get where you're coming from. My number 3 is Marriage Story.
Okay.
I love this movie to death. It came out at a unique time in my life, when my parents were divorcing. In the like fall of 2019, it came out on Netflix. I watched it and I cried my eyes out, just like, oh my god, this movie's beautiful, but also quite funny at times. Ray Liotta is great in this movie. Laura Dern is fantastic. She won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, and of course you got Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson at the helm, just putting on a clinic. The scene where they start screaming at each other in his little apartment is like, that's like museum work. That's like 2 great performers going at it. And this is based on the divorce of Noah Baumbach and Jennifer Jason Leigh. This is something that comes directly from the heart, comes directly from personal experience, and specifically using the cities of Los Angeles and New York. Really fascinating to me, and I think we're gonna look back and we're gonna be really upset with ourselves that we voted for Joaquin Phoenix over Adam Driver and Leonardo DiCaprio for Best Actor. I think the Academy, like, that's a damn shame. In no way is Joaquin even touching what Driver and DiCaprio are doing in their two films. Like those are timeless performances. The Joker thing, fine, take it or leave it, whatever. I love Joaquin, but he's way better than the Master. The driver piece of Marriage Story is like, man, that guy. There's a gravitas. There's a masculine presence, but there's also this like really artistic touch that he has. You can see that he was a Marine at one point, Adam Driver, but you can also see that this guy is like a proper artist. When he sings in Marriage Story towards like later in the film, when he's with all of his New York, creatives, and they're at the bar and he's doing like a performance, you're like, good God, like there's not a lot of people who can do both of those things. I think Adam Driver feels like he's from a different generation. I think I complain a lot about specifically the male side of performing these days and how they lack a certain like balance of masculinity, but also that kind of artsy fartsy, like I can be real weird and creative. I feel like a lot of guys from the Elden days had that in them. The Burt Lancasters and the Bogarts, those guys that we really look up to. I think Driver has that like in him. I think he's got that going for him. And I can't wait. He's like 38 years old. Like, I cannot wait to see what else he does. I think he's going to have a super long career, and Marriage Story is going to be, I think, a big, big part of his story as he moves forward as an actor. And God, I love that movie, man. I've seen it a few times now. I really want to buy the Criterion edition. It's just, it's always on Netflix. It has never left because it's a Netflix original. So it's like, well, it's always there. It's always there, no matter what.
Yeah, Driver, I mean, as much as, Star Wars is really kind of worthless to you, and I get it.
Kylo Ren. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, you can credit that with, giving him the boost he needed to do films like this.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that in every trilogy of Star Wars, there's at least one actor who manages to escape the shadow of Star Wars and have a career that is their own. For the original, it was Harrison Ford. For the prequels, it was Natalie Portman, and for the sequels, it is Adam Driver.
I like that. That's cool. I never really looked at it that way. I think your man Ewan McGregor has done a decent job too.
True, but he's so attached to the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi that even he doesn't want to leave that behind. But Natalie Portman has like eclipsed Star Wars a long time ago.
Where like Adam Driver feels like he's going to be that guy who's like, yeah, I just did that so I could like make sure my rent is paid in LA, and now I'm going to do whatever the hell I want.
Like, I believe Harrison Ford gave him some much needed life advice on the set of The Force Awakens, where he's like, dude, do not let this define you. You have something.
Yeah, he's got something special, man. He's worked with like Jim Jarmusch and like really weird directors, like visionary, like weird auteur people. And he has this really cool thing going with Noah Baumbach. White Noise comes out pretty soon here, and I'm stoked for him. Like, I think Driver is super special.
Yeah, and Marriage Story might be the performance of his career, but honestly, he's so early on in that. I'm more excited to see what else he's got.
It feels like it's the Dustin Hoffman Kramer vs. Kramer thing, where it's like that might have been the defining moment of his career as a performer. And Kramer vs. Kramer and Marriage Story is such a cool double feature. I did it one day. I watched them back to back, and I was like really sad. But
yeah,
I also was just like, this happens. Like, love happens, but also divorce happens 50% of the time. This is going to happen to people.
I love both those movies. I don't know if I've got the emotional strength to do them both in the same day. Like, that's admirable.
Yeah. Where people have the emotional strength to watch like multiple Star Wars movies in a day, to me, I'm like, that sounds like hell. But but like give me a couple like gritty dramas that like kind of coexist together. Like I'm down. I'm in.
Well, if Han and Leia's relationship was dissolving and there was a custody battle, Star Wars would be a lot different.
Yeah, it'd be right up my alley. That's funny as shit. Okay, so that's my number 3. Obviously, we kind of know what's on the table for both of us. I'm curious. You have 1917 and Parasite. Where are they? What's number 1? What's number 2?
Number 2 is 1917.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So we have the same number 1. I trust Parasite as well. I have Once Upon a Time at number 2, and you have 1917 at 2. So we're like close here. There's just like little key differences. And I do really like what you said about Once Upon a Time not being as far as like ahead of a 1917 or a Marriage Story. Like it's not a movie for everyone to like understand and really connect with.
Yeah, and I'm just we're fucking freaks who can watch a movie where the Manson family gets burned alive and be like, this is great, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
But not everybody can do that.
Yeah, not everybody cares for that, and that's fine. That's fine.
But I feel like a World War I drama like 1917 that features, some of the most incredible cinematography I've ever seen.
Yeah.
While at the same time not using it as a gimmick and really focusing on the human nature of this story. That's magic. And it still holds up. It is fucking gorgeous. It's incredible. I love that our hero is the guy who didn't even want to fucking do this, but feels obligated because he made a promise. I mean, that's brotherhood, man. Like that is just, it's amazing. And every, kind of major cameo by a, thespian, whether it be Cumberbatch or Richard Madden or Andrew Scott, I believe his name is.
Yeah. He's my favorite one in the movie because he's just like, you're fucking screwed.
Yeah, it's like good luck.
And he's like wearing like a trench coat and smoking, and I'm like, he's like wearing a beanie. I'm like, who is that guy?
Yeah, World War I was such a just pointless, desolate death trap that everyone was pretty much like that. Like, I could die in 5 minutes. I don't fucking know. I'm gonna have a smoke, and I'm gonna unbutton my jacket.
Yeah. God, that's my favorite part of 1917. I wanted to wait till I knew it was going to be higher than yours. It's like when you're walking through the trenches, you're like, man, this is the production design here is like I'm there. Like I'm like in war, and like these people's attitude is like, wow, it's very realistic.
Yeah, the way they framed this movie, the way it feels like you're just kind of walking through the fucking war, from the trenches to the coast to just the airplanes to the battles. It doesn't feel like a set. It doesn't feel like they're shooting on location at any time. It feels like we got some, footage of World War I that they were able to make look really nice.
Yeah, 4K, baby. Yeah.
But real quick, just a quick aside. I saw some 4K footage of Nosferatu.
Oh God.
I have never seen anything look more flawless. I was blown away. They haven't restored the whole film, but they've restored bits and pieces of it into 4K, and it looks amazing that we could fucking do that. Yeah,
I'm still like blown away that's a thing. It's like, what the fuck is next? They're gonna be right in front of my face.
But yeah, 1917. I love how everything is handled. How it could have just been this gimmicky, like, look what we can do with this camera, but instead it's very much like inspired by Sam Mendes' real family, and he wanted to make something that mattered to him, something that was powerful, and just ultimately it's worth it. Like, they do save these men. And when our hero meets, Richard Madden and says, like, I'm here because of your brother. Jesus, man, I can't hold myself together.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, like, where is he? You know him? And he's like, oh, well, I love when he comes across, like when he comes across Mark Strong and he comes across different human beings. I love when he says, well, there were 2 of us to start. And you're like, man, oh man. And he doesn't stop moving. I love when he's in that truck and he gets everybody he's like, get out and fucking push. Like, let's go. And they're like, man, where do you have to be? And he explains to them and they're like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, that's a death sentence and you're not going to make it. And he's like, yeah, I will. I'm going to make it. So cool.
That, and like when he's being hunted by the soldier in like the burned out town.
The ruins. That's my favorite scene. That's
The
my
lighting
favorite.
in that scene.
Yeah, the flares. Oh my god. I was like, I forgot about that scene like altogether. I was like, this is great stuff.
If Parasite had been delayed or something, this would have won Best Picture. No contest.
I thought it was going to the whole time, you know, it just feels like a best picture movie. It feels like it, deserves to be, acclaimed and all that jazz. But yeah, Parasite just happened to happen. and it ruined a second best picture winning movie for Sam Mendes.
My favorite moment in this movie is at the end when George McKay has made it to the end and he's racing across the battlefield to get to the commanding officer to tell him the news. And he trips, he runs into somebody, and they both go down. And then he just gets up and keeps running. That was a fuck up. That wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah.
He ran into some guy, but because of the way this film is shot, it wasn't like, can we go again? It was get the fuck up and keep running.
Yeah, you can tell when you watch it because fucking Deakins, the cameras, instead of like a tracking shot, it's like a reverse tracking shot, and it's in front of him. The camera's in front of him, pulling back as he's running, and the camera keeps going when he trips. Like it's like doesn't stop and like do that kind of gimmicky, like let's keep up with our main character. It's keeping up with the war, with the battle that's happening in front of us. So when he trips, he's further away than you would anticipate him being from the camera. And then he catches up to the camera because he starts running again. And you're like, man, that is filmmaking, like it's like that shit's really cool. There were multiple times where I was like, doing the fucking Rick Dalton, like, oh, there it is, like fucking that was cool as shit. The snapping of the fingers, pointing at the screen, like that's cool. Like that, I noticed that, and that's intentional filmmaking.
And what do we get as the icing on this cake? An epic score from Thomas Newman.
Yeah. Thomas Newman and Sam Mendes, match made in heaven. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful. I love this movie so much. It's
one
of my favorite theater experiences because I'd never seen anything done like that. It's
me neither. Awesome movie. Definitely getting in that top 5 no matter what, as far as if the category were cut down. Okay. So obviously Parasite is both our number 1, which is really cool. Once Upon a Time is my number 2. Don't need to talk about it. Fucking love that movie. Think it's awesome. I kind of wish it would have won, but I knew the whole time there's no way. That's not happening. Like, again, a movie about something so depraved, it's not happening. I don't know.
The biggest strength it did have was like it is about Hollywood, like in the 60s. So whenever Hollywood makes a movie about itself, they like to stroke it off a little bit, give themselves a little love. But this time they had some restraint.
Yeah, they did, and Brad Pitt won for Cliff Booth, but that's about it there. As far as those major categories go. I love that movie to death. It's a 10 out of 10. My 3 top movies are 10 out of 10. Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time, and Parasite. I love those movies. 1917 is probably a 9. I mean, it's just solid as hell. So this is a great group. Parasite being number 1 is like, it's really cool to agree with what actually happened. That doesn't happen all the time, but it can and it will. With Connor and I, and we're on the same page here. This is a once in a century movie.
Yeah, man, it really is. The more I talk about it, the more I get excited, and I love that when I find a movie that like I cannot stop talking about. That's gold. That's magic.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the whole point of doing it, over and over. What's great about this is this 92nd Academy Awards is that a lot of these are worth that conversation. A lot of these movies are worth their own episode on this show. And again, a lot of these we were watching in real time as they came out, whether it was together or the same fucking week. We were really in tune with the Oscars that year, really in tune with like what was award worthy.
Yeah, good times. I remember that, just getting excited every week. Like, oh, here it comes. Here's something. And even the stuff that got ignored was great. Like, Dolomite Is My Name. We expected to make some kind of splash, but it didn't. But that was still a fucking great movie.
Yeah, great point. I mean, what are some other 2019 movies? Because like The Lighthouse is like I love that movie, and my favorite like personal favorite movie of the year is Waves. That Sterling K. Brown like really wish he would have been up for an Oscar. I thought that movie like really rattled me, and I had a blast. I saw that in theaters by myself, and I was like, "Fuck me, this is just right up my alley," And there's some gems from that year for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we were both fully expecting The Farewell to make a splash.
Oh yeah, Farewell was great.
That was, yeah, in terms of like what horror had to offer, Crawl is still one of my favorite creature
love
features.
Crawl. Yeah, I love Crawl.
Yeah. God, it was a great year. Yeah, I'm looking through my letterbox right now. I loved Ready or Not. I loved Rocket Man.
Yeah.
We had a great time seeing Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Yeah, just a blast. Yeah.
Fucking Uncut Gems.
Oh yeah, how could I forget? I love Uncut Gems.
Yeah. God, that might be like in my top 5 favorite years of film ever. Like 2019 killed it.
It's certainly up there. I'm trying to think. There's got to be others I'm missing because I've always felt the same way. I thought Knives Out was tight. Thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Toy Story 4. Fuck yeah.
That was the year where we got Endgame, the culmination of the MCU thus far, and that.
Oh yeah, duh, yeah, fucking Endgame. I mean, come on, like one of the most important movies of the century as far as what it meant to pop culture and everything. Trying to think, there's got to be other stuff I'm forgetting, but I don't know. I mean, we've already named a handful, and I like them all. Pain and Glory is great.
Yeah. It was such a great year. I didn't even really mind the fact that like the conclusion to the Skywalker saga wasn't that great because I had so many other movies to enjoy where I was like, I can lose a Star Wars.
Yeah, like two of the that Star Wars movie and the remake of Lion King is like, oh yeah, I don't care though because everything else, yeah, delivered, and that's it. That's a good feeling. It's always nice.
Yeah, I have not felt that this year.
Oh no, this year's been a goddamn disaster. I've enjoyed some movies that I've seen, some new releases, but there's there is nothing in my opinion when Top Gun Maverick is the one that I'm like gonna remember is like, yeah, it's a good movie and all, but like, come on, like, I don't want that to be the thing I remember when I think about 2022.
Yeah, my favorite movie probably thus far has been either The Batman or The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Yeah, the Batman. I really like the Batman. Yeah, that's already that came out like in March. I feel like there's something else I've seen from this year that I liked a lot. I loved Barbarian. Loved that one.
Yeah. Horror this year has been quite impressive. Like we started with Scream early on.
Yeah, that was fun.
We've had stuff like X and Studio 666 and No Exit and The Sadness on Shudder and Men, which a lot of people liked.
A lot of people hated too. Yeah.
The Black Phone, Nope, Prey, like
Nope. That's probably my favorite movie of the year so far is Nope. Yeah. That and Barbarian.
I think you would really enjoy 3,000 Years of Longing.
Yeah, I need to see that. That's the Idris Elba and who else is in that? There's a couple of people I like.
Tilda Swinton.
Yeah.
George Miller's like epic scale genie movie that just was not what I expected and seemed very much up your alley. Very character driven kind of fantasy drama.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard about that. I definitely want to see it. Yeah, there's things I've missed that I want to get to at some point. But I don't know, man. I'm not looking forward to a bunch. Like I think the one I want to see the most is The Whale.
Yeah.
And The Fablemans looks like it could really deliver. Could be like a classic Spielberg. But a lot of these movies that have come out recently have just gotten panned, like Amsterdam. It's just unfortunate.
Well, Sam Mendes is back with Empire of Light, so maybe that'll be something.
Yeah, I hope that's good. I heard one of my favorite writers, podcasters talked about that movie and said it was fine, and I'm like, I don't want it to be fine. I want it to be fucking good. And him and I are usually on the like almost the exact same page. It's really really annoying. Like it sucks because when I hear him talk about something that I haven't seen yet, I'm like, motherfucker, like you're always like in my head, and you like predict what I'm gonna like and dislike. And that can be frustrating, but you still get to see it for yourself.
Yeah, I'm being a lot more selective because back when I was doing the sneak preview and I was seeing everything, I feel like I peeked behind the curtain too much and I didn't like that. So
Yep.
now I'm like, I really got to think it through. Like, do I really need to see that now? And
Yeah.
most of the time, I don't.
Yeah, no thanks. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, man. Yeah, too much of anything is not good.
No, it's not. And I was not going to let this turn into something where I'm like, oh, here we go. I didn't want that to happen.
Yeah, hell no. So, okay, before we get to the ceremony and talk about some other categories, I'll run through these. We both had the Irishman number 9.
Mm-hmm.
We both had Joker number 8. My number 7 was Jojo Rabbit. Yours is Little Women. My number 6 was Little Women. Your number 6 was Marriage Story. We both had Ford vs. Ferrari at number 5. My number 4 is 1917. Yours is Jojo Rabbit. My number 3 is Marriage Story. Yours is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. My number 2 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and your number 2 is 1917. And then we both had Parasite number 1. So we had 4 movies in the exact same slot. It's not bad. It's not bad. Almost half. If you had to cut it down to 5, are you taking these? Are you taking your Ford vs. Ferrari, Jojo Rabbit, Once Upon a Time, 1917, and Parasite, or are you adding something else that's not there?
If I was all right, so if I'm making this 5, I'm cutting Jojo and I'm putting Uncut Gems there.
And keeping Ford vs. Ferrari? Or
no, I'm gonna put Marriage Story in there.
Okay, so man, that's tough. Uncut Gems would be really cool. Uncut Gems and the Lighthouse, but the Lighthouse is so goddamn weird. I feel like Uncut Gems, like, and I feel like Sandler definitely deserved that nom. Really upsetting. Like, how many more chances is he gonna get? It's infuriating.
I don't think he cares that much. He's just happy to be able to do work.
Yeah, he like loves working and just hanging out and being himself. So yeah, he definitely doesn't give a shit, but I do. I would love to see Sandler, at the Oscars. That'd be really cool, competing against the likes of Joaquin and Leonardo DiCaprio.
I wonder if they'd consider it like kind of a detriment to their career if they lost to Billy Madison.
I watched Happy Gilmore the other night, and I was just like, this is a masterpiece.
It really is. I love Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, Billy Madison is good, but Happy Gilmore is fucking great. Yeah. So yeah, I think we're in agreement there that you keep Parasite, you keep Once Upon a Time, you keep 1917 for sure. Like, those are 3 shoo-ins. Yes. After that, Marriage Story, Uncut Gems, Ford vs. Ferrari, like there's a conversation.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's a good thing.
Yes, I want to have that conversation. I want to be able to say, like, there were options, and you don't always get to say that.
No, you certainly do not. The Parasite is the only one that I'm like, if you take that out, we're gonna have fucking problems. Like, it has to be there, no matter what's happening, and it's great that it won. Also won 3 other awards and was nominated for a couple others. 6 total nominations is pretty damn good for a foreign language film, and to take home 4 of those is even better. The 2 that it lost are film editing and production design. So let's look at those real quick, see what it lost to, because I'd say the production design is pretty strong.
Yeah, I got something to say there.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and let's jump into production design. You got Once Upon a Time with the winner. I mean, come on, you like recreated 1969 like almost perfectly. So that one, it beat 1917. Typical cost production design nomination for a war movie. In this case, I think it's deserved. Yeah, I think a lot of war movies like get like the gimmick costume design or production design nomination. Like, this one deserves like what it got for production design. It looks fucking bleak as hell when you're walking through those trenches and everybody's just miserable. The Irishman, sure, I guess. Jojo Rabbit and Parasite. What do you got?
Okay, first off, cut The Irishman and give this to The Lighthouse.
Yeah, fucking hell. Yeah.
Um, all right, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I love the production design. It looks great. 1969 Los Angeles has never looked better.
Yeah.
However, the production design of Parasite is so fundamental to the story
Yep.
that it should have taken that. It's practically a character all its own. This house, the basement, the Kim's house, it's its own, each set is telling its own story. And if you're paying very close attention, you can figure that story out for yourself. I love that. This should have taken production design.
Yeah, I agree. Dare I say that Parasite is on the same level of as far as its main place is the park house, right?
Mm-hmm.
That house is on par with stuff like the hotel in The Shining. It's
yes.
Like this place is fucking fascinating. And at some points it almost seems too simple to be true, but at the same time you're like, this place is massive, And once you kind of find out that it's got a whole like underground tunnel, like corridor, it just kind of blows your mind, and whoever found this house, that person deserves to take home the statue. Whoever was like, let's use that place. Whoever made that decision, whoever did that kind of recruiting, like, well done.
Even its placement, this house on a hill, like it's Mount Olympus. It's so perfect, man.
Yeah, just brilliant stuff. I think it has to go to. I think this is a three movie race. I think Once Upon a Time, 1917, and Parasite are kind of doing really cool stuff with the production design. But yeah, I've always been enamored by how Parasite's set up, and that house is something else. Best film editing. This one I think I might agree with. Ford vs Ferrari took the win. I think like racing movies are probably not very easy to make. So I respect that win. It beat The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, and Parasite.
Yeah, I'm with you. Ford v Ferrari, the way it's edited, you got to maintain interest. You got to keep the camera in the right place. You've got to show the most important parts of the race while also not keeping people bored. And they accomplished that big time. I think that is a very well-deserved win. Yeah,
I have no problem with it. It's probably the quote unquote best aspect of the movie of Ford vs Ferrari is that strong editing. All right, let's move into the wins here. Let's do. Obviously, we've talked about Best Picture already. We know where we're at there. Let's do international feature film, screenplay, then director. That's probably the right way to go. Best international feature film or best foreign language film, however the hell you want to say it. Same shit. I've seen 3 of these, and I'm always on a journey to watch as many nominations from this category as I can, because it'll just give you more perspective. Parasite won. It beat a film from Poland called Corpus Christi. It beat a film from North Macedonia called Honeyland. Seen that one? That one's incredible. It beat Les Miserables from France, which is, people know what that is. You don't have to be you recognize the name Les Miserables. That's one of those. And then Pain and Glory from Spain. That's another movie that I really like. But Parasite's not losing.
Well, I think Les Miserables is not like your typical.
No, it's not the play. Yeah.
But yeah, this is the category overall from the Oscars that I have seen the least amount of films in, and that's on me. But yeah, Parasite, that was kind of a shoe in there. We all knew that was going to win. I want to see Pain and Glory. Almodovar is a guy I really got to look at.
Yeah, he's awesome. Just so fucking gutsy, that guy.
Do you think? What are your thoughts on best international feature film versus best foreign language film?
A good question. Meaning, like, what do I like better as the name for the category? Well, I don't like the category. I think it's like borderline disrespectful. Because it's like, well, we're gonna have a special category for movies that aren't from here, and all the movies that are up for other stuff are all English speaking. which is why Parasite's so special.
Yeah.
Because it did break that barrier, even if it's for just a little bit. I think I like this name better. I don't know though. I don't know.
I prefer foreign language film myself because if you're going to call it best international feature film, why aren't you including films from other English speaking countries like Australia, the UK, and Canada? Like those should count.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, commit to either one, but don't dick me around.
It basically should be best non-American feature film.
There you go. Or just, maybe, take the velvet rope off the playground and let everyone play.
Yeah, I've always felt that way about like the way people treat foreign movies and animated movies. Like they're not the same as what we make. Like live action stuff we make. It's like I don't like that. Doesn't make any sense to me. While it's cool that a movie like fucking Jimmy Neutron can get an Oscar nomination in 2001, I'm like, is Shrek not good enough to be compared to live action movies? Or is that what we're saying? Like it's less than? Like it's a kids movie?
I mean, they had no problem comparing it in the screenplay category.
Exactly. In Toy Story 3, in Coco, and Up, and Beauty and the Beast, these are movies that are like, oh, they're allowed to play. It only happens every 5 years. It's that kind of an attitude that I'm just like, it doesn't like sit well with me. I don't know. I don't know if like I'm just being cynical and complaining too much, or if there's like validity to that.
I think you're completely valid. I think it's inclusion that's or it's exclusion masquerading as inclusion. They're like, here we gave you something, when in reality you're not really giving them anything.
Correct. And with like an example could be Corpus Christi, a movie from Poland, right? It's like, okay, it's up for this, but because it's not up for anything else, no one cares. Like no one's gonna give a shit. Foreign movies that like do well over here as far as the Oscars go are movies like Another Round. Thomas Vinterberg was also up for Best Director, or Parasite, also up for a bunch of other stuff, or Z from 1969, also up for Best Picture. Like it has to have other things going for people to be like, oh, that wasn't just in this box. It broke the box and came to our side of the playground and was like, hey, I want to go on the fucking slide. Like let me hang out and play. And like that's the only time. And regrettably, this has been my mindset up until not that long ago. Like I don't need to see it. So therefore, because it's just in that box, I don't need to see it. But a movie that breaks through must be worth it. And that's I think completely different now, where I'm like, I'm just gonna watch things that I really want to watch, whether it be foreign or not. And now I've been exposed to some of my favorite movies ever.
I'm of the mindset that I don't need to see anything. I get to see.
Yes, it is.
That's the way I see
it. It is it's my pleasure to embrace your art.
Film is a multicultural giant buffet, and I am here for a long time.
I'm here to get full over and over and over.
I brought a big plate. Now fucking feed me.
Yeah, I'd love to get a limitless soda. That'd be great if I could just constantly be drinking soda at this buffet, and those could be the TV shows, the soda.
I'll take it. Sure.
I love picturing me and you going to CC's and we're like picking movies off the plates instead of pizza.
Yeah. If movie were food, I would have been dead a long time ago.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
I'd have a heart attack. Yeah.
Yeah. We'd be like, just, 600-pound shut-ins. All right. This is getting to a dark place.
Yeah. I love it though. It's great. Best screenplay. Right. Original screenplay. Parasite gets the win. And it beat 1917, Knives Out, Mr. Ryan Johnson, heyo, Marriage Story, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Okay, we got a group here.
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino, Noah Baumbach, and Bong Joon-ho versus these other people.
Sam Mendes and Ryan Johnson.
Yeah. All right, so I don't think 1917 should be here.
It's not a screenplay movie at all.
It isn't.
It's a sentimental movie. It's like a moment movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie, but it's built on spectacle and character moments. And that's fine.
It's like actual written screenplay, like words, is very thin. Very, very, very thin.
Yes. I say replace it with Uncut Gems.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's like, come on. And Knives Out, I like. I think it's cool that it got a nomination. But I don't know. It doesn't stand up against the rest of these movies.
No, I like Knives Out, but I'm not like, oh my God, what a film. You know, it's fun. It's fun.
Again, I think this should go to The Lighthouse.
Yeah. You're not going to get any complaints here when you're taking away movies and putting in Uncut Gems in The Lighthouse. I'm all for it.
But yeah, Parasite wins this by a landslide. Like, well done. I do think that I love Tarantino, but Baumbach was his competition here.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think 1, 2, 3 is Parasite, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time. I think we've seen Tarantino do better stuff as far as like pure screenplay goes.
Should have won for Bastards.
Yeah, Bastards should have destroyed the competition at that ceremony. Like, I like The Hurt Locker, but come on, what are we doing?
That was his last and only chance for a true sweep. Was Bastards.
I totally agree. Like, I couldn't agree more. Fucking adore that movie. I can't not wait to do it on this show one day. It's gonna be fucking epic. So yeah, I think Parasite, its strongest point is to me the performances and the screenplay. You know, it's the writing and the execution. That's like why I think about that movie a lot. It's like what it's trying to say and how it's said. So great shit. Let's see, best director, last one here before we get out of here. And it's a group, my man. You know, these are people we've been talking about all night, but it's time to really figure this one out. We got Bong Joon-ho for Parasite, Sam Mendes for 1917, Martin Scorsese for The Irishman, Todd Phillips for Joker, and Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Jesus.
Yeah, I would not want to be the new guy going up against these folks here.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the new guy would be Todd Phillips, or
yes.
Yeah. Or I wouldn't want to be like, say this is a different year and like Thomas Vinterberg's up for another round against these guys. I'd be like, at least I'm there.
Yeah, Todd Phillips. I get like a Mean Girls vibe of like, you can't sit with us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you haven't really done anything, my man. Go back and direct another fucking old school. Yeah.
I think him and I think Scorsese should be booted here.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Again, give this to Robert Eggers for The Lighthouse.
And the Safdie brothers for Uncut Gems.
Safdie brothers or James Mangold for V Ferrari.
That's, yeah, I can hear that one. No Taika for Jojo Rabbit? No. Okay. Fair enough. I was just asking. I agree with you, but I was just making sure.
But yeah, Bong Joon-ho does still take the win. That was, yeah, his work on this movie is exemplary. It is just on every level he put in a clinic. It's amazing.
Basically, Parasite should have won everything that it was that it was up for, and maybe some more. If best actor, get Joaquin out of there or Jonathan Pryce. Sorry, love you guys, but our guy, Kang Ho Song, like he should be there. Like that's a mistake that no one from Parasite was up for performance nomination. It really kind of irks me. Like, I know it won a bunch of stuff, but it's like, okay, if this movie's up for all these things, then how did no one in the movie like garner that kind of acclaim as well?
Yeah, I think the housekeeper, whose name escapes me, she should have been up for supporting actress.
Moon Guang, yeah.
Moon Guang, yeah. She should have been up for supporting actress. This should have been up for score. Boot, Rise of Skywalker. John Williams is great. He's got enough. We don't.
Yeah.
These new Star Warses do not need the love that the Oscars seem to give them. So give the score to that one and give it cinematography, like a nomination for cinematography.
I totally agree. This movie is fucking gorgeous.
It really is. Like shots like, just the freaky face popping up, like just the eyes from the shadow of the basement.
Brilliant.
What a kid would see if he saw a strange face in the dark
while eating cake. Yeah.
Goddamn. Yeah, I think that's where I would stop. Yeah, I think this. I'm glad it stormed the big, some of the big categories, but it could have done more.
Yeah, it could have got like 10 nominations and like 6 wins. Like could have really, 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 really nailed it. And 4 wins on 6 nominations is pretty damn good. But it probably deserved more and could have done more, and that's just something we'll have to live with. And like we said earlier on in the show, baby steps. That's this is a big step though. I remember when that happened, I was like, the Oscars might change, and then the next year they give it to Nomadland, which is a movie I like, but it's like, okay, well that was more run of the mill, typical Oscar type movie.
I still see Coda as a step forward, but that's for another time.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. It is a step forward in some ways. But comparing that movie to Parasite is like...
Nope, nobody's doing that.
They're both winners. It's like a kindergartner going against like LeBron James. It's like, yeah, I mean... it's like, man, just cool, great, but... I don't even give a fuck about that ceremony anymore because it just got so overshadowed by such a stupid fucking, scenario that happened. It's like no one's going to remember that ceremony for the actual movies anymore. It's just about that stupid slap. Like, I just don't even, I wish it was erased, like, from time and history, because no one's talking about Coda.
Yeah.
Like, do we realize this movie just won and this guy won Best Supporting Actor, this deaf guy? Like, can we, like, talk about that instead of a stupid incident that like ultimately means nothing in the long run? I don't know.
Well, we could always reclaim it with a showdown, give Coda. Of course, then I'd have to get Apple again.
That's great. It's not on DVD anywhere?
No, the only Apple movie I've seen on DVD is On the Rocks. Like nothing else has been released.
Damn, that sucks.
Yeah. So
okay, well here's what we'll do. Those movies deserve to breathe for a while, right? The same way we waited on Parasite. I think we'll wait a couple years and we'll do those movies, because I would love to in a couple years. I'd love to revisit Nightmare Alley and Drive My Car, Licorice Pizza, Coda, Power of the Dog. Like, it'd be fun to do that in a couple years and like properly talk about those movies and ignore the drama from the ceremony.
When I can buy a Coda Blu-ray, we will do it.
Or that, yeah. We'll just wait for that. We'll just wait for the proper Coda purchase.
I refuse to let Apple, kind of blackmail me into getting their service back. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, the fact is, that's great. This is fun, man. This is a lot of fun. Parasite's a special movie, and I feel honored to be able to talk about it. It's like it's been my pleasure to talk about such a classic with you. It is October. It's the month of scary movies and Halloween stuff, and we do have a horror podcast where we like to occasionally talk about textbook horror movies. So that's on Wednesday, House of 1,000 Corpses. Like, come on, that's perfect for October.
Yeah, Rob Zombie's a guy we've alluded to. We've talked about his, I don't know if failure is the right word, but his, the Munsters. And I'm going to try to watch as many of Zombie's films as I can so I can get some context. But, Caleb's very excited. House of 1,000 Corpses is one of his favorites. And I've heard it's a grisly watch that is not for the faint of heart. So, yeah, this will be interesting.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be fun.
You want to watch it yourself? It is on AMC Plus.
Weird. I don't think we've ever plugged AMC Plus on any show.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. It was on Shudder for the longest time. But, of course, when we need it, it's gone.
That sucks, man. That sucks. There's a collection on Criterion right now. It's like specifically 80s, like 80s horror movies. And I was looking on Letterboxd like at them, and a lot of them are on right now are on Criterion and Shudder. And of course, these movies that have been on Shudder for a long time, I always forget that I have access to Shudder. Like I could have been watching these movies for months. And they get on the Criterion and they get this nice little 80s horror thing. I'm like, oh, I'll check this out. And I'm like, I could have checked this out a long time ago.
Criterion and Shudder partnering on something. That's like the fucking Odd Couple. It's like,
yeah, it's I think they had a baby and it was me. Yeah, it's a cool combo of streaming services kind of teaming up and doing some movies. Because most of the time, if a Criterion movie is on something else, it's HBO Max.
Yeah,
because they did a deal with them. So yeah, Criterion Shudder is like, oh, that's random and rare. So yeah, I've watched a couple already through the collection, and I'm having a blast. There's a lot of 80s horror I haven't seen, so this is like a perfect collection for me. Let's see. On Friday, oh boy, good luck with this one. Galaxy of Terror.
Yeah, thankfully, I don't have to do shit because Josh is back and I'm going to be in Germany. So enjoy.
Josh is back. Yes, finally. We get to hear that guy's voice again. Going to be great to have him back because he's going to be able to help out a lot on Filmgasm and Beyond the Bad. Give Connor a little bit of a break here and there. That'll be nice for Connor. He can focus on other things like school and his own life.
That would be nice. Always... I don't remember what that feels like.
Yeah. What does it feel like to not do 3 episodes in one fucking week? Connor wouldn't know because he's been doing it for 3 years. So that's good. I'm so glad Josh is back. It's gonna be great to be able to kind of conversate with him again and talk about movies and hear what he's thinking, and get more reviews out of him. He's always been someone I love to read his stuff. So excited for that. So that'll be Caleb and Josh on Galaxy of Terror. You're going to be in Germany. So next Oscar Sunday, next week, I will be bringing in my 2 older brothers to talk about The Bourne Ultimatum, the 3rd movie in that franchise, the Jason Bourne franchise. It's the only one of the trilogy that's got an Oscar nomination, and actually I think it won 3 Oscars at the 80th Academy Awards, all for technical stuff. Yeah. So I'm super stoked to do that with my brothers. We're gonna talk Bourne trilogy. We're gonna talk Matt Damon, and we're also going to be going back to the 80th Academy Awards because 2007 is one of the best American movie years ever, and we'll be kind of pulling up that ceremony and talking about the greatness of There Will Be Blood and No Country for Old Men.
I look forward to listening to that on the flight back. It's going to be cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I watched the Bourne movies, but I remember Ultimatum was my favorite. Sweet. Yeah, this is going to be fun for you guys.
It's tough for me to choose a favorite. I think they're all solid. The three original ones. The Jeremy Renner ones, whatever, and the last one from like 2016, just Jason Bourne, not good.
The fact that they didn't call that movie Born Again still bothers me.
I totally agree. They missed a good chance for memes and stuff. Like, come on, what are you doing? Yeah, that's gonna be cool though. Jeremy's been on the Lighthouse episode that we did months back in, I don't know, that was like in June or something. I don't really remember. I think it was in June. I think he was down here during my the week of my wedding.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure. And before that, my other brother who will be with me, Adam, he was on an episode with me on Hoop Dreams, 1994 documentary that was up for film editing. Fucking weird. So they've both done like heavy hitter movies that they both love and that I love. And now all 3 of us are going to come together and talk about Matt Damon, because we all really like him in the Bourne trilogy. And it's going to be a blast. It's going to be a different kind of episode with all 3 of us. But the week after that, Connor will be back and we'll have a very, very special, very Halloween type movie going down, because that Sunday is October 30th. So it'll be 2 weeks from now, the day before Halloween. We have to do a heavy hitter horror movie. So I cannot wait to announce that next week and have you back. and we're gonna do some really cool stuff on that episode. So we got some great shit coming out for Oscar Sunday. Stick with us. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, FILMGAZM, Facebook, sorry, at FILMGAZM. I'm tired. I'm fucking exhausted. Parasite took it out of me. Keep looking at our reviews. I just read a 10 out of 10 review from Connor about Beetlejuice that made me want to go back and rewatch it because I haven't seen it in a long time. So I'm probably going to do that in the next couple nights. And keep watching movies, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday.